I restart civilization in the 27th century. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76, People in the Warehouse. The light on the 4th floor was dim, with only a little light from a whale oil lamp far below, and it was almost impossible to see anything. Chang Ning took out a strong flashlight and shone it around. This area was very empty, and the distance between the floors was higher than that of the 3rd floor, estimated to be 8 or 9 meters. The beam of the strong flashlight swirled around, but it couldn't illuminate the entire 4th floor. Chang Ning regretted not bringing a torch with him. Of course, if conditions permit, it would be better to bring a diesel generator and install a row of bright incandescent lamps. But now we can only search in the dim light. After a circle, Qian also came up. She opened her mouth and drooled from the corner of her mouth. Where is it? Where is the can? Chang Ning knocked on her head. You just came up. Why are you in such a hurry? Let's look for it. As he said, he shone the flashlight and explored forward. The flashlight shone in front, but the left and right sides were dark. If a person with claustrophobia, he would not be able to walk in this environment. Fortunately, Chang Ning didn't, and Qian only stared at the front, trying to see where the endless cans were. Although not very scared, Chang Ning still felt a little scared, especially in this era. Dark places often haunted by insane ghosts. If an insane ghost popped out while walking, it would be fun. But this is almost impossible. No one has entered the warehouse on the 4th floor of Yancheng for more than 100 years, so of course there are no insane ghosts. Chang Ning was very sure. After walking out for dozens of meters, he came to a huge iron gate. There are countless indoor rails around the iron gate, and some mechanical arms are parked on the rails. These should be the robots that were responsible for handling in this material center before the end of the world. They will use mechanical arms to lift the materials and place them in the corresponding positions along the rails. If you need to go out of the warehouse or enter the warehouse, you can go to the hole where Chang Ning came up through the rails, run to the ceiling of the 3rd floor, and move the materials. Behind the iron gate, it should be the storage location of the material center on the 4th floor, right? It seems that many materials need a specific storage environment, so a closed storage space was built to isolate the outside air and bacteria. This iron door should have been automatic before the doomsday, but now it is obviously without power. Fortunately, there is also a manual switch on it, an iron ring similar to the air defense door in the laboratory. Chang Ning instructed Qian to turn the iron ring. After a creaking sound that made people's teeth ache, a loud sound came from behind the iron door. It should be that the bolt was lifted. He and Qian worked together to pull the iron door outward. Inside was a shelf that stretched as far as the eye could see. The side length of the building foundation of Yancheng is more than 1 kilometer, and the usable area of the 4-story building is at least half a square kilometer. It seems that all of it has been used as a material warehouse, where the flashlight shines, except for the neatly arranged supporting columns or lava positions of the shelves, and there is not even a partition wall. Wow! Qian exclaimed. It's so big. Chang Ning nodded, and the area here also surprised him. On the rows of shelves, at least half of the positions are neatly stacked with boxes of various materials. Chang Ning could see the box on the shelf closest to him with the words universal screws. 9mm. Even screws of specific sizes were available in boxes. It seemed that the richness of supplies in this warehouse exceeded Chang Ning's imagination. Walking forward along the gaps between the shelves, the two felt as if they had entered an endless ocean and felt extremely small. So, where are the cans? Qian muttered again. Chang Ning ignored her and continued to move forward on his own, while shining the light on the boxes of supplies around him to see what was stored. He somewhat understood what Yunrang meant by need to look carefully. The area here is really too large, and there are really too many things categorized. Many things that Chang Ning was completely unaware of needing to be stored are also available in boxes and shelves. It is worthy of being an emergency disaster relief material storage center for the entire Shanghai area. With these things, dealing with ordinary disasters in the old world is as simple as child's play. Wait a minute. Young Chang Ning suddenly lowered her voice. What's wrong? Chang Ning was a little confused. There's someone in front. Young Chang Ning responded. Chang Ning quickly turned off the flashlight. Is there someone in front? But according to Yun Rong, no one has come here for more than 100 years. Could it be a lost ghost who was forgotten here 100 years ago? Or is it a person like Yun Rong who has been trapped here for 100 years? Thinking of the pure black environment here without any light, Chang Ning felt that people who have lived in it for more than 100 years must be terrifying. Are you sure? Chang Ning also lowered his voice. Of course, listen carefully. As the flashlight turned off, Yun Chang Ning's figure could no longer be seen, but her voice came clearly from Chang Ning's ears. Chang Ning held his breath and listened carefully in this pure darkness. Sure enough, there was a click sound in front. Is someone walking? Or is it something else? In the dark, this sound is very creepy, which makes Chang Ning's hair stand up. Click, click. The sound seems to be getting closer and closer. Chang Ning pulled Yun Chang Ning and squatted behind a shelf. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. The sound is already close at hand. The person who made the sound was about 20 meters away from Chang Ning and Yun Chang Ning, walking slowly along the aisle between two rows of shelves. Chang Ning thought of a game he played in the 21st century, Dead by Daylight. Now their status was very similar to the people in the game who were hiding from the perverted killer, who could stay in this dark warehouse for 100 years. This time span gave Chang Ning a huge pressure. He subconsciously thought that the creature inside, whether it was a human or something else, must be very powerful. At least it must be a master or above to survive for so long. Maybe it can fight better than Yun Chang Ning. What should I do? The distance is so close that it feels like the other party will find them at any time. Why didn't Yun Rong, the old man, tell me about the dangers that might be encountered in the warehouse in advance? Chang Ning couldn't help complaining in his heart. But he shouldn't know that there is still a creature living in it, right? Maybe he came in after being locked in the upper level of Yuncheng? That's not right. If someone from Yuncheng came in after that, the secret of this warehouse would definitely be exposed. Then it can only be a mad ghost. Or a broken robot. I don't know what power it relies on to keep wandering here. When Chang Ning was daydreaming, the footsteps were getting closer. Bang. Suddenly there was a loud noise, followed by the sound of goods collapsing. That thing hit the shelf. Chang Ning was a little surprised. Turn on the light. Yun Chang Ning whispered beside her. Turn on the light. Is she sure she can deal with this thing? Although this child is greedy and sleepy, he has never failed in combat. Chang Ning gritted his teeth and turned on the flashlight. A strong light shone on the place where the footsteps appeared in front, reflecting a tall figure. The man didn't expect the sudden light to appear, and he covered his eyes, as if stimulated by the strong light. Under the illumination of the flashlight, Chang Ning discovered that this person was actually someone he knew. Chapter 77 The Shuttler. It's you? Chang Ning was very surprised when he saw the man in front of him. He racked his brains to understand why this person appeared here. The man gradually adapted to the strong light of the flashlight and slowly raised his head. It was Xiao Bao who escaped from Chang Ning and Yun Chang Ning nearly 10 days ago. Yun Chang Ning raised the corner of her mouth and snorted at Xiao Bao. We meet again. This is the third time you have run into us. How do you say that, Chang Ning? Then she turned to look at Chang Ning. Chang Ning frowned. What did you say? Fate. Yun Chang Ning thought about it. Chang Ning also looked at Xiao Bao with interest. The secrets of this person seemed to be endless. Such a fully enclosed storage space has not been entered for almost 100 years. How did he suddenly appear here? He took out the Desert Eagle from his pocket and looked at Xiao Bao coldly. But Xiao Bao's reaction was completely different from what they expected. He was a tall and strong man with a frightened expression on his face like a little white rabbit. After seeing Chang Ning and Yun Chang Ning, his eyes lit up, as if he had met relatives he hadn't seen for a long time, his face full of surprise and joy. He cried out wow, took a few quick steps forward with snot and tears, fell to the ground, and hugged Chang Ning's thighs. You are finally here. Chang Ning frowned and wanted to retract his legs, but although Xiao Bao was a wind awakener, He couldn't stand his big size, and his natural strength was much greater than Chang Ning. He pulled hard a few times, but couldn't pull it back. Young Qian saw it from the side, stretched out her little foot, and kicked Xiang Bao on the shoulder. "What are you doing?" The acupuncture points on Xiang Bao's shoulders were numb, and he naturally let go of Chang Ning's legs, but he took the opportunity to hug young Qian's thighs again. "I missed you so much. Woo woo woo." He cried so hard that he couldn't help himself. Young Qian swung her legs hard, throwing Xiang Bao out, knocking him onto the shelf next to him, and knocking down many boxes with a clang. Xiang Bao crawled forward a few steps on all fours, crawled to Chang Ning and young Qian, and hugged Chang Ning's thighs again, refusing to let go. Chang Ning sighed. "Tell us first, what happened? Why are you so excited? What happened?" "Woo woo woo." Xiang Bao raised his unshaven face, sobbed a few times, and then said, "What the hell is this place? There is no light at all. There is no one. How did you get in?" Xiang Bao's emotions calmed down a little, and he began to slowly narrate the process of how he came here. That day, when he was escorted to the cell of the police station by Huang Kan and others, he used a thin wire to pry open the door of the cell while the guards were not paying attention, and then used his wind awakening ability to escape. After coming out of the cell, he felt that he couldn't just run away like that. Because it was daytime, he knew that there were many guards on duty in Yancheng, and they could easily see his escape route. Yancheng is such a big place, and Xiang Bao himself doesn't believe that there is no awakener who is faster than Xiang Bao. If he just ran out like this, he would probably be discovered before he ran far, and then be caught up and face a miserable end. So what should he do? Xiang Bao thought of a way. It's dark under the lamp. Just hide in the Cloud City building, let them think that he has run out, and then keep sending people out to search. After searching for a while and not finding anyone, it's time to give up. What he didn't know was that Chang Ning and the others didn't want to chase him at all. There was no deep hatred, but Chang Ning thought that Xiang Bao might have some effect on their exploration into the 4th floor. But since he ran away, he ran away. A wind awakener, why chase him for no reason? When Chang Ning and the others had given up, Xiang Bao was still thinking seriously about where he should hide. It probably wouldn't work to hide on the 17th to 21st floors. Although it was really dark under the lamp, these floors were full of residents of Cloud City. People walked around every day, and it was difficult to hide for a long time. He was not familiar with Cloud City either, so he could only run to the rooftop and hide in a place with few people. Then he saw the 4 towering giant metal pillars in Cloud City. These 4 pillars can lead to the upper buildings of Yancheng, or you can climb down. Going to the balcony of the elevator will definitely get you discovered, so what about climbing down the pillars? Xiang Bao then ran to a pillar and discovered a small platform about every 3 meters on the pillar, just like Chang Ning. He is a gust of wind awakener, and his speed and balance ability are much better than Chang Ning. Before long, he went down along the pillar and was about to reach the ground. But he found that there were patrols all around the ground of Yancheng. At that time, Chang Ning had not installed surveillance cameras, and the entire Yancheng still relied on human patrols for early warning. Xiang Bao panicked and wanted to hide. The patrol team below was actually a routine patrol. Xiang Bao only needed to wait for a while, and the team would pass, so he went down. But he thought it was the pursuer sent by Yancheng, who were blocking the entire building of Yancheng. He didn't want to take risks, so he made a decision. In addition to being a gust of wind awakener, Xiang Bao also has another awakening ability, a dual system awakener. Shuttler. This is a very rare ability that works on space. The function is to locate 2 points in space and then physically link them together. After the link is completed, someone passing through point A can immediately reach point B, ignoring any obstacles between A and B. This ability is very powerful, but it also has serious limitations. First of all, in terms of distance, Xiang Bao has tested it. With his ability, the distance between A and B cannot exceed 20 meters at most. Once it exceeds 20 meters, the ability will be 100% invalid. In addition, in terms of time, the 2 points are linked for a very short time, only about 10 seconds. After Xiao uses the ability of linking once, it will enter a cooling period and can only be used again after 7 days. However, thinking that he has fallen into danger, Xiao still resolutely used the shuttler ability. He linked the point he was at with a point inside the wall next to him. In his opinion, it is still the inside of the building of Yancheng. Although he doesn't know why the people of Yancheng don't live below the 17th floor, it doesn't prevent him from hiding inside to avoid being hunted. After the people outside leave, he can sneak out through the passage inside the building. If he really encounters the worst situation, he can also use the same method to get out in the opposite direction. He thought this was a perfect plan. Then, he came to a completely dark place. When he first entered the storage space on the 4th floor, he comforted himself that it was okay, maybe it was a small room without windows, and he would find the exit and open the door to see the situation clearly. Later, he walked out for a long time holding the wall. Why wasn't it the end yet? He began to panic. He had never experienced pure darkness before, and didn't understand what kind of psychological and physiological changes would be brought to people in the absence of light. There was no sunrise or sunset, and there was nothing that could be used as a reference for time. There was no sound, and there was absolute silence all around. Xiao didn't know how long it had been, but he felt like he was going crazy. He began to run quickly along the endless walls. At one point he thought he had come to a space that did not belong to the original universe. Later, he finally touched the corner of the wall, and he became even more desperate. So this is a pure black huge space? There is no exit. His skills are still cooling down. He can't get out for the time being, but after the intense exercise, he feels like he is dying of thirst. Chapter 78 Double Awakening. The area along the wall was empty. He had no choice but to leave the wall and explore in other directions. Inside were rows and rows of shelves with neatly stacked boxes. Xiao fumbled to open a few boxes. He didn't recognize the contents at all, but he was sure that they were neither edible nor drinkable. However, as he opened more boxes, Xiao found that the contents of many boxes were different, which meant that, if he continued to explore, he might find food and water. This belief supported him. His lips were chapped, and he didn't know how long he had been exploring in the middle of the shelves. He kept opening boxes, and felt that his fingers were about to be worn out. Without a sense of direction, he would sometimes touch boxes he had opened before. In short, when he was about to die of thirst, he finally found a box of drinkable things. Xiao said this, and took out a bottle from his arms, and looked at it with a gentle expression. Chang Ning recognized the word soda water written on the bottle. He thought that the cargo was quite good. In that case, if he touched some lubricant or something, he would drink it without hesitation. I've lived here for a long time just relying on this. I don't know how long it has been. Has a year passed outside? Xiao looked at Chang Ning and Yun Qian haggardly. Only 9 days have passed outside. 9 days? Impossible. Xiao widened his eyes. I feel like at least a year has passed, he said firmly. Chang Ning knew that time always passed very slowly in places where there was no sense of the passage of time. There used to be a place called Little Black Room in the prisons of the old world, which was specially used to deal with extremely uncooperative prisoners. No matter how vicious the criminals were, no matter how outstanding the thorns were, they would collapse as long as they were locked up in the Little Black Room for a day or two. Moreover, Xiao had been here for 9 days, and it seemed that his mind was a little abnormal. Then why don't you find the wall and use your ability as a shuttle to get out? Chang Ning was a little confused. At first, there was actually nothing wrong with Xiao's plan. At most, he would be trapped for 7 days. Anyway, he had the ability of a shuttle and could still get out. But now he has been trapped for 9 days and he hasn't gotten out yet, which is a bit strange. Do you think I don't want to go out? Do you think I haven't tried? But for some reason, it doesn't work. Xiao roared. Ineffective? Chang Ning frowned. As far as he knew, once all awakened people awakened, their abilities would accompany them for life. How could it be ineffective? At first I thought it was less than 7 days. After all, I didn't know how long I had been here. But later I tried every once in a while, but it didn't work. Once I felt that I had succeeded. 2 space points were linked by me, but after I passed through, I was still in a dark warehouse, surrounded by shelves. Xiao Bao said, and almost cried again. Do you know what kind of days I have been living in here during this period? Why did you come just now? I have been looking forward to being caught by you for a long time. Woo woo woo. His tears finally fell again. Chang Ning felt very sympathetic to him. The ability is ineffective. According to Chang Ning's judgment, it should be in this complete darkness, without any information input into the brain. The brain has some misjudgments and hallucinations. During the 9 days, Xiao Bao's cooling down should have ended 2 days ago, and he could connect, but at that time his judgment of the spatial direction should have been completely confused, resulting in the failure of the connection, and he did not go out. Then the skill entered the cooldown again, and he did not know how long it had been, and he had the idea of skill invalid in his mind. What a poor man. However, what attracted him most in Xiao Bao's narration just now was that he had 2 awakening abilities. This also confirmed Chang Ning's feeling about Xiao Bao. From the first time he escaped from the basement of the Shanghai Museum, Chang Ning felt that he had a hidden secret. All the awakeners that Chang Ning had seen had only 1 awakening ability. They were either Shineman awakeners, who had mutations in the thymus and gained the power to strengthen themselves. For example, Xiao Bao's Gale greatly enhanced his speed and balance ability. For example, Yun Qian Qian, it was a comprehensive enhancement of physical fitness, and the fighter was really good at fighting. Or it was a Stargate Awakener, who had mutations in a gland in the brain, and gained the ability to control the surrounding things. For example, he himself can refresh the relics of the old world. For example, Zhen Yang can treat and strengthen the people around him. Although Chang Ning does not know which gland in the brain has mutated, he is now sure that it is a brain mutation. It seems that the 2 are not in conflict. One occurs in the thymus and the other occurs in the brain. Not long after Chang Ning crossed over, he encountered a sneak attack by the messenger of Yunsheng. Now thinking back, it should be Yun Wu's men. At that time, after he killed the sneak attacker with the Desert Eagle, he injured the discomfort and cut open the chest of the messenger's body with a machete, but found that the thymus was normal and there was no mutation. At that time, after he saw Zunyang replace Zhao Da's thymus, he thought that the thymus was the key to awakening. Later, he realized that the Stargate and the Skygate were different, and the mutation of the Stargate occurred in the brain. Otherwise, he could have harvested a brain gland to study it. If the positions of the mutated glands of the awakeners of the Skygate and the Stargate do not conflict, then the coexistence of the 2 abilities is actually a reasonable thing. It's just that Chang Ning has never met an awakener with 2 abilities at the same time, so he subconsciously didn't think about it. Chang Ning is now particularly insecure about his physical fitness. Although he has Yun Qian Qian as a bodyguard, it is not his true strength after all. He is quite satisfied with his Stargate ability. If he can also become a Heaven Gate Awakener at the same time and strengthen himself. Just thinking about it is very exciting. You all come together today. I want to fight 10 people alone. And the Heaven Gate Awakener can be artificially created. When he was in Yaosun, a land shark produced a force core, which is a mutated thymus. Zhen Yang transplanted this force core into Zhao Da's body and created a mountain mover. In other words, if there is another force core, Chang Ning himself can also become a Heaven Gate Awakener, and with his Stargate ability, he will be a double awakener like Xiao Bao. However, the method of transplanting force cores has great side effects, and the awakened abilities transplanted are generally not strong. Chang Ning needs to think about it again. However, how did this guy Xiao Bao become a double awakener? Did he also awaken one ability first, and then get the second ability through transplantation? Or did he awaken both abilities by himself? Thinking of this, looking at Xiao Bao who was still sobbing, Chang Ning sighed, helped him up, sat him on a relatively sturdy cargo box next to him, and then handed him a handkerchief made of rags, and whispered, it's okay, aren't we here? Xiao Bao nodded with red eyes, are you going to take me back now? Hurry up and catch me. Chapter 79 Backup Power Supply. A big and strong man was crying so hard that he couldn't stop. Chang Ning had to work hard to comfort Xiao Bao. Looking at Xiao Bao's current state, Chang Ning felt that it was not a good time to ask him about the double awakening. He had to take him out of this dark warehouse first to make him feel at least safe, so that he could have a logical and organized conversation. However, Xiao found a storage place for drinking water in it. According to Chang Ning's judgment, there should be food nearby. The purpose of him and Yun Qian coming in today was to roughly explore this huge warehouse first, and it would be best to find the storage place of food first. Since Xiao had experience, Chang Ning asked him, "Where did you get this bottle of water?" Xiao was stunned for a moment, and after thinking for a long time, he said, "It seems to be the direction I came from. You can see it if you keep walking along that side." Chang Ning nodded. "You can see that this is a huge warehouse. We want to confirm the storage location of the food first. After we find the food and confirm the general distribution of supplies, we will take you out. How about it?" Xiao's state is much more normal now. His previous collapse was mainly caused by absolute darkness and no information input. Now with Chang Ning's flashlight, plus 2 people next to him who can talk at any time, his emotions gradually calmed down. He nodded. "Okay." So Chang Ning took the lead in front with a flashlight to clear the way. Yun Qian strolled at the back, and Xiao squeezed between the 2 people, looking in front and behind. The 3 of them slowly explored inside. It is actually very simple to find the direction where Xiao came from in the dark. Most of the shelves along the way were neatly stacked, and only the sections where Xiao passed by often had cargo boxes falling to the ground and tilting left and right. That was his way to relieve his nervousness in an extremely depressing environment. After all, the sound of the cargo box falling to the ground was also a kind of information input. After walking for about 10 minutes, there was still deep darkness ahead, and the flashlight still could not reach the edge. Chang Ning stopped beside a shelf. This shelf was full of tools, which was much more complete than the 5th row of shelves in the 3-story small warehouse. In addition to the tools used by manpower, such as shovels, mattocks, hammers, etc., there were also some semi-automatic tools such as electric saws and electric drills. Chang Ning picked up an electric saw and took a closer look. This should be a dual-purpose saw with oil and electricity. There is a charging port and a small fuel tank on it. However, Chang Ning knew that the oil saw needed to be started with a special ratio of oil. He didn't know the formula of the oil. Since he had a diesel generator, he should charge it and drive it with electricity. I don't know where the laser weapon Yunrang mentioned is, but Chang Ning thinks that this electric saw should be able to break Yunrang's defense, right? This thing cuts meat like a hot knife cutting butter, and it can even split a crack on stone. Although Yunrang is a legendary supernatural being, it should still be possible to give it a try. Chang Ning weighed the chainsaw and could see that it was well preserved under the light of the flashlight, with no signs of rust. It is indeed a place dedicated to storing supplies. After 300 years, such a complex tool can still be preserved. He threw the chainsaw to Xiao and told him to hold it well. Then he searched the shelves next to him and found a few spare saw blades and batteries, which he put in his backpack. He continued to walk forward and seemed to have come to the center of the warehouse. The density of the shelves here was much lower, and there was a relatively spacious small square. In the center of the square was a giant pillar that was much thicker than other supporting pillars. This pillar was even thicker than the giant pillars supporting the superstructure of Yuncheng outside. This is the elevator shaft. Chang Ning suddenly realized something. Through the content in the video recorder, Chang Ning knew that there was an elevator shaft in the central position of Yuncheng in the old world, which could accommodate thousands of people at the same time. Later, the elevator shaft broke from the 21st floor to the middle of the superstructure of Yuncheng. The huge pillar in front of him should be the elevator shaft below the 21st floor. Living on the 17th to 21st floors of Yuncheng, there are many large and small rooms, and you can't feel such a large gap in the middle. In the empty warehouse on the 4th floor, this elevator shaft is very eye-catching. Xiao also saw the huge elevator shaft and was obviously stunned. Have I been here? He scratched his head. I shouldn't, otherwise you would have a deep impression. Even in complete darkness, this pillar is obviously different from the shelf area. Chang Ning answered for him. We took the wrong road. Xiao seemed a little frightened again, afraid of getting lost here again. Chang Ning shook his head and continued to walk forward. Let's go over and take a look. Don't be afraid. This pillar is not a smooth wall. There is a small protrusion every other section on it. When Chang Ning approached, he found that these small protrusions were small doors one by one, and there should be many small rooms in the pillar. When he walked to the front of the pillar, Chang Ning opened a door at hand and found that this was an electric shaft. Walk to the side and open another door. It is a pipe shaft. It seems that these rooms on the pillars are all functional parts of the Yuncheng building. Now the entire Yuncheng building has only the function of living. The water, electricity, gas, network in the building have all been destroyed with the old world. So these functional parts are theoretically completely useless now. However, Chang Ning has a bit of obsessive compulsive disorder. He always feels a little bit anxious if he doesn't open this closed door to explore. This may be the sequel of playing some video games in the 21st century. So he walked around the pillar in a clockwise direction, opened these doors one by one, and stuck his head in to take a look. What are you looking for? Young Qian followed behind, pouting and asked. Don't make noise, kid. Chang Ning didn't even turn his head. There must be no cans in here. You should look for it on the shelf over there. Young Qian said confidently. There are more important things in here than cans. Chang Ning continued to move forward and opened another door. What is it? Young Qian followed behind. Xiao also stretched his head to look inside, curious about what Chang Ning was looking for. Found it. Chang Ning said excitedly. He was just obsessive compulsive and wanted to explore all these rooms, but he didn't expect to make a major discovery. Backup power supply for the Emergency Relief Material Allocation Center in Shanghai. 3. When Chang Ning opened this room, he immediately saw the sign in the room and a huge diesel generator. There is a backup power supply here, and it is diesel powered. But this is also easy to understand. Since these are materials prepared for disaster relief, the power supply is likely to be affected when a disaster strikes, so it is reasonable to prepare some backup power supplies. This is the third set of backup power supply. It seems that there should be at least 2 other sets of backup power supplies. But with this set of power supply, Chang Ning can activate the entire material center. There are even 6 oil drums neatly stacked next to the power supply. Chang Ning walked over to take a look. The oil drums were well sealed. Standing next to the oil drums, there was no smell of diesel. Either the diesel inside had evaporated completely in the past 300 years, or this oil drum completely blocked the evaporation of diesel, and it should still be full. Chang Ning certainly hoped it was the latter. He reached out and shook the oil drum. It was heavy. Full. Help me shine it. He threw the flashlight to young Qian, then picked up an oil drum and added it to the diesel generator. Soon, with the rumbling sound of the generator, rows of bright lights popped up on the ceiling of the entire material center, illuminating the huge warehouse as bright as day. Chapter 80 Food from 300 years ago. The light in the backup power supply room was on first. Xiao had never seen an electric light before. Seeing such a bright light, he squinted his eyes and was stunned for a moment. Then his symptoms improved a lot, and he looked at the various objects around him greedily. Although he didn't understand what a generator was and what was in those big iron buckets, he was already very satisfied to be able to see things clearly. He looked at Chang Ning as if he was looking at a god. Chang Ning and young Qian were also very happy. Normal humans would not want to stay in a dark environment all the time. After the light came on, Chang Ning checked the room and found nothing except the backup power supply. He had just filled up the diesel and estimated that the generator could be used for at least several hours, so he turned around and went out with young Qian and Xiao. The scene of thousands of lights outside blinded Xiao's eyes, but young Qian was used to it and ran away quickly. Hey, what are you doing? Chang Ning called her from behind. It's a pity not to use such a bright light to find canned food. Young Qian replied. Well, she always makes sense when she speaks and never gives people a chance to refute. Chang Ning complained silently in his heart. After all the lights were on, it was much easier to find the place where Xiao first took the water. The collapsed state of the shelves in the distance was clear at a glance. Just follow the most chaotic direction to find the location of Xiao at that time. After a while, the three of them came to the middle of the most chaotic shelves. The shelves here are full of bottled water. There are purified water, mineral water, soda water, electrolyte water, all kinds of things, filling an area of more than 500 square meters. Each shelf is more than 3 meters high, and one shelf can hold about 10 layers of drinking water vertically. Chang Ning couldn't count how many bottles of water there were here, but it seemed that there was enough for tens of thousands of people to drink for a while. Water resources are not very scarce in the doomsday. The environment without industrial pollution for 300 years has made most of the groundwater and stream water have drinking value. Young Kai and Kian and Xiao each picked a bottle of water and opened it to drink, while Chang Ning focused his eyes on other shelves around. He walked forward. There was a whole shelf of water purification equipment, including chemical water purification agents, physical filtration devices, and automatic water purification facilities that needed to be powered on. After walking through this area, Chang Ning finally saw the food shelf. Bags of rice were neatly stacked on the shelf in front. The amount of rice was beyond Chang Ning's imagination and there was no end in sight. Chang Ning climbed to the top of the shelf and stood on the high place to look around. A whole area here, occupying about a quarter of the entire warehouse, was full of such rice bags. Food is the first necessity of the people. After a natural disaster, ensuring the food supply of the people in the disaster area is the first priority. So it is not surprising that there is so much rice in the warehouse. Chang Ning wanted to open a bag of rice casually, but surprisingly, he couldn't tear the rice bag open with force. It's strong enough. You know, after Chang Ning came to this era, his physical strength has increased a lot. Now in the 21st century, he has the confidence to tear open the general packaging bags, no matter what material they are made of. But this rice bag couldn't be pulled open at all. He had to take out a watermelon knife and cut the bag from the side. White rice flowed out. He put his hand into the rice pile and felt it. It was a little damp, and there were many small particles in the middle of the rice grains. They should be some small fragments of rice decomposed during storage. With a light pinch of his hand, most of the rice grains were crushed, and the hardness of the rice grains was much smaller. But overall, there was no big abnormality. He picked up another handful and put it under his nose to smell it. A strong musty smell drifted into his nasal cavity, almost making him faint. But there was no rotten smell in it, and there was nothing unusual about the overall appearance of the rice. Chang Ning concluded that after 300 years of preservation, the rice should still be edible, but the taste should be very bad and the taste should not be good. However, if there is an emergency, it is still no problem to survive temporarily. Chang Ning was a little surprised. You know, 300 years is a relatively long time span. In the 21st century where he lives, 300 years ago was the Qing dynasty. At that time, Kang Mazi had just passed away, and the fourth master was still in power. He couldn't imagine what the grain of the Yangzheng period would look like if it was preserved in the 21st century. In fact, the food from the Yangzheng period could not be preserved until the 21st century. Only the technological level of mankind before the apocalyptic disaster in the 24th century could store food for such a long time. Chang Ning's front to the wall of the huge warehouse was all rice storage area. He turned right and continued to walk along the route he came from. There were a batch of different bags here. He picked up a bag and looked at it. It was filled with flour. He cut the flour bag with a machete and poured it down, but no flour came out, but a whole lump of dough came out. Chang Ning poked it with his finger. It was hard and all gathered together. He sighed. Although they were stored in the same environment, flour was more delicate than rice. Rice could be preserved roughly intact, while flour had already gathered into a ball. There was no obvious rot or mold. In fact, if you have to say whether it can be eaten, it should still be edible. But how to eat such a lump of hard flour that cannot be decomposed is a problem. However, with those rice, Chang Ning felt that the survivors around Shanghai should not face famine in the short term. Give him some more time to promote the rice seeds in the laboratory seed bank, and no one will go hungry anymore. He also stood on the top of the shelf and looked around. The shelves for flour were less than those for rice, probably less than 1/3 of the rice. but it was also a large area. Continue to walk forward. There are various staple food areas in front, such as grain area, coarse grain area, potato flour area, etc. Although they are less than flour area, the total area is larger than flour area. Roughly estimated, the food storage area in the entire reserve warehouse is almost half. There are all kinds of food, including salt and monosodium glutamate soy sauce, cooking oil and other commonly used cooking ingredients. Most of the food is not rotten, but after more than 300 years of storage, various problems have also appeared, and it is a bit difficult to eat. The best food is still the rice I saw at the beginning. The canned food that Yan Kai and Qian had been thinking about also occupied a small area. It is said to be a small area, but it is only compared with rice and flour. In fact, the storage area for canned food is also 500 to 600 square meters, storing various canned food piled up like a mountain. Young Kai and Qian was delighted. She rushed into the mountain of canned goods like a happy little corgi, wandering and playing in it. Xiao Bao was also very happy. Canned goods are hard currency wherever you go in this era. There are so many of them here, which makes him feel dizzy, as if he has become a billionaire in an instant. Chang Ning ignored the two people and continued to move forward. He remembered that Yunrong said that there were weapons in the warehouse here, and they were laser weapons that Chang Ning had never heard of in the 21st century. Skywalker? Chang Ning was a little excited and looked for it along this area. Chapter 81 Weapons Found. The 4-story warehouse in Yanqing has a huge building area. If it is regarded as a large piece of farmland, it is estimated to be equivalent to thousands of acres of land. Half of the location is used to store various foods and water, and the other half is other items. There are all kinds of things, and Chang Ning even saw sandbags covering an area of about dozens of acres. Some ordinary woven bags are filled with sand, and they are also stored here. After 300 years, these ordinary woven bags are almost all damaged, and this area has become an indoor beach. Among the material reserves other than food, tents, sleeping bags, bedding, and moisture-proof mats account for the largest proportion. Chang Ning made a rough inspection and found that most of the tents can still be used. However, sleeping bags and bedding have a strong odor, and he feels that he should not be able to sleep in them. It is very difficult to find weapons and materials in this vast area of materials. As we all know, China is one of the safest countries in the 21st century, and the number of various types of weapons held by domestic civilians has long been at the bottom of the world. Chang Ning doesn't know what the world pattern in the 24th century will be like, but it will not be too different. In the 21st century, he didn't know that weapons were needed in the storage of disaster relief supplies. In the 24th century, even if some weapons were prepared for storage, there shouldn't be too many, maybe just a small corner among the vast amount of supplies. So it's still a bit difficult to find the laser weapon described by Yunrong. He could only walk forward and observe the shelves around him. The shelves here are clothing supplies. There are a lot of camouflage clothes tied up without outer packaging, some boxes that seem to contain thermal underwear, and many emergency backpacks. He suddenly thought of the man who brought people from Yangcheng and Lincheng that day, and said to Yun Xianzu, "You are worthy of the surname Yun, wearing the same camouflage clothes here." In other words, his clothes were taken out from here. There is a high possibility that this person is a descendant of Yun Rong. After he was plotted against by Yun Shuang, his own children were not liquidated by Yun Shuang, but escaped. Then I don't know where they continue to reproduce. Every time the Lord of Yancheng changes, some of them will run back to make trouble. It should be like this, right? But, does this mean that I shot Yunrong's great-grandson or something like that with the Desert Eagle that day? He felt a little guilty. But since he was in the enemy's position at that time and he didn't know Yunrong, he couldn't be blamed for this. Besides, Yunrong didn't know what happened below, and he only had a few months to live. So don't worry about it for the time being. Continue to walk forward and come to the tool area near the gate, which is where Chang Ning and his friends met Xiang Bao. In addition to the shelf where Chang Ning took a chainsaw, there are many tools on other shelves here. Axe, engineer shovel, multifunction toolbox, hatchet, rope, lighting, firefighting equipment, labor protection boots. Judging from the technology of this era, these things can actually build a team of elite soldiers. At least the stone axes and crude iron axes made by humans in this era are completely defeated by the fire axes here. Imagine two teams fighting, one holding a homemade stone axe and the other holding a well-made fire axe here. If both sides are about the same in physique, it is obvious which side will win. Further ahead, there are actually many power supply equipment, including diesel engines, solar panels, small wind turbines, etc. Everything is available, and there are countless emergency lighting fixtures and daily necessities such as induction cookers and electric kettles piled up next to them. Chang Ning sighed at the thorough preparations of the people in the 24th century. In fact, placing a diesel generator is enough to cope with emergency electricity in most disaster situations. Solar and wind motors are not only inefficient, but also have many restrictions on use. I really don't know what they are piled here for. After walking forward and passing through the oil barrel storage area covering dozens of acres, Chang Ning finally saw the legendary weapons in a corner. This piece is obviously police equipment, and it is also placed in this disaster relief material storage center. It is probably to prevent the police station from being paralyzed when the disaster comes. Chang Ning walked over quickly and saw some police bulletproof vests, shields, batons and other equipment that appeared in the small warehouse on the 3rd floor. Continue walking, turn around 2 rows of shelves, and there is another row of shelves containing police revolvers. The quality of these pistols is much better than the gun that Xiao Bao brought up from the underground, with almost no rust or damage. Chang Ning had no doubt that most of these guns could still fire smoothly after being loaded with bullets. There were about 100 pistols, and the same shelf was covered with matching bullets. On the shelf ahead were several rifles, some of which looked very similar to the 95G assault rifles of the era when Chang Ning lived, and some sniper rifles that were exactly the same as the Barrett that Chang Ning picked up on the 21st floor rooftop, and even a few shotguns. There were many models of guns, but the number was not large, only about 20 to 30 in total, and with the matching bullet boxes, the entire shelf still looked a bit empty. The shelves of these police equipment such as rifles, pistols, and bulletproof vests looked completely untouched, with no signs of being turned over. But Yun Rong and the city lord before him knew this place. Chang Ning thought of 2 possibilities. One was that Yun Rong's era awakeners were too many and too powerful, and these ordinary police weapons would only hold them back, and it would be difficult to effectively kill the enemy. So they disdained it. Another possibility is that they don't recognize these guns at all and confuse them with the tools and machinery on the shelves next to them. Seeing that there was no sign of the shelves being turned over, Chang Ning guessed that the second possibility was the most likely. Otherwise these guns would at least be used as toys to reflect the romance of men. Chang Ning knew that many children aged 7 or 8 survived the world-destroying disaster. They may not be able to read, operate various old world machinery, and have not inherited the technology of the old world, but at least they should know guns, right? Apart from anything else, there should be many shots of using guns in the cartoons and TV movies that they have watched since childhood. If Yun Rong and his previous city lord did not recognize these guns, then the entrance to the 4th floor of Yuncheng was not discovered by the generation of the founders of Yuncheng. Instead, it was after several years after the establishment of Yuncheng and several generations of city lords that this place was finally found. Chang Ning thought of the entrance on the ceiling of the 4th floor again. How could a normal person find it? So, what happened that made them focus on the ceiling and finally find this warehouse? During the time when Yun Rong was born, some other interesting things must have happened in Yuncheng. Chang Ning couldn't help but feel curious. But there was no other clue for a while, so he had to keep going forward, and then he found the legendary laser weapon. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 80 to 24th Century New Disaster Relief Equipment Exhibition. Chang Ning turned around the shelf of police weapons and came to the next row. When he looked up, He saw a line of big characters. Innovative equipment, temporary storage area. The shelf regulations here are different from other shelves. The shelves are smaller, but look more refined. There are a few things scattered on the shelves, and some nameplates full of words. Chang Ning walked over and looked at a nameplate at the head of the shelf. Innovative equipment, temporary storage area. With the end of the Great Schism, human civilization has begun to develop rapidly again. The rapid development of science and technology has brought changes to all aspects of our lives. In our disaster relief work, there are also many new technologies that can be applied. This display cabinet temporarily stores some equipment that may become the mainstream of disaster relief in the future. Of course, they are still in the early stages of research and development, and there are no finished products that can be mass-produced for the time being. But the market outlook is promising. Each piece of equipment has a detailed description for reference by all visiting members of the Disaster Relief Material Allocation Center. This is a storage area for some equipment that has already appeared in prototype in the 24th century, but has not yet been mass-produced. It looks like a visiting teaching area. Before the end of the world, there should be many members of this unit who will come to visit and learn. This was convenient for Chang Ning, otherwise he probably wouldn't be able to identify what these things were. Walking forward, the first thing placed on the shelf was two suitcases similar to the ones Chang Ning often saw in the 21st century. They were about 50 centimeters long and 10 centimeters wide, and looked very small. Chang Ning squatted down to read the words under the box. Fully automatic intelligent rescue robot. There was a robot in this box. So small. Chang Ning couldn't help but open the box and saw that there were several not complicated lines inside, connected to some instruments. These lines and instruments were very similar to the equipment that Chang Ning had seen in the emergency center of the hospital in the 21st century, which monitored various data on the human body. In addition to these lines and small instruments, there was an even smaller box in the box, which was closed and had no opening, but there was a start button on it. Chang Ning continued to look at the nameplate below. This is a rescue robot newly developed by the School of Medicine of Fudan University and the School of Medicine of Yangjing University. It is very simple to use. When disaster relief personnel encounter patients who need rescue in the disaster area, they only need to open the box, connect the vital sign detection instrument to the patient, and then click the start button. The rescue robot will automatically detect the patient's various physical data, make medical judgments, and then automatically perform first aid. During the whole process, disaster relief personnel do not need any medical knowledge, and all rescue work can be done by the rescue robot alone. It can quickly handle most of the conditions that need rescue, such as blood loss, shock, trauma, internal organ trauma, cardiovascular and cerebrovascular diseases, etc. It can also perform on-site surgery at the disaster site. For simpler conditions, it can perform surgery alone. For complex conditions, the rescue robot will automatically connect to the corresponding doctor, and the doctor will remotely lead the operation. This thing is very powerful. Not only used in disaster relief, if it really starts mass production, Chang Ning believes that many people will buy one and put it at home. Most of the conditions that need rescue can be solved on the spot by this robot. Many times, sudden illness is very dangerous, and patients often cannot support themselves and are sent to the hospital. With this robot, the survival rate of sudden illness at home has increased a lot. At least for most rich people, buying this thing is more practical than anything else. It seems that the small box inside the box is a storage place for the robot's mechanical arm, scalpel, various medicines and other necessities for specific operations. Such a fully enclosed structure is also conducive to the preservation of the things inside. The things inside probably need to be replaced and repaired by professionals. To be honest, this kind of robot can indeed be called a magic weapon in disaster relief, especially for some patients trapped by earthquakes, floods, etc. It can completely save lives in danger. Chang Ning has never seen similar equipment in the 21st century. It seems that after the end of the Great Schism in the 24th century, human technological capabilities have really improved. Continue to move forward. There is a box of 1 cubic meter square, and the nameplate below reads, Emergency Simple House Manufacturing Box. Is it okay to build a house? Chang Ning then looked at the small print under the title. This is an application product of a new type of building material developed by the Institute of New Materials of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. The specific method of use is very simple. Place this box in an flat, open area with an area greater than 50 square meters and a height of more than 4 meters, and then turn the handle on the box in the opposite direction. The box will automatically unfold and build a simple house. Please note that the place where the box is unfolded does not need to be absolutely flat, but try to keep it flat and avoid unfolding it on a hillside, valley bottom, rocky beach and other ground with complex foundations. Once unfolded successfully, the box will become a simple house with a usable area of about 45 square meters, with 3-way conditions, which can be temporarily accommodated by 2 disaster victims. This emergency simple house manufacturing box also has different sizes. Depending on the size of the original box, the area of the house after unfolding ranges from 30 to 300 square meters. The Disaster Relief Materials Center believes that this 45 square meter simple house is most suitable for disaster relief. Automatically build a house. Chang Ning was stunned. He remembered the universal capsule in a cartoon he had read before. A small capsule that you carry with you can be thrown out to create all kinds of strange things, motorcycles, airplanes, cars, and even a house. This emergency simple house manufacturing box is almost the same as the universal capsule that can be thrown out of a house, except that it is too large. Reality is not a cartoon. To comply with the law of mass conservation, a house cannot be put into a capsule. In fact, Chang Ning also found it incredible to put it in a 1 cubic meter box. He tried to move the box, and it was quite heavy, estimated to be about 200 kilograms. But compared to a house, it is too light. It is probably made of some new materials, and when it is unfolded, there must be fixed facilities at the connection between the house and the ground. Otherwise a strong wind will blow, and the house will probably start to shake. The first 2 things are quite strange. Chang Ning continued to walk forward and saw the third item on display. This thing is much smaller and its appearance is like a hacksaw, but there is no saw blade. Because of its small size, 10 identical items are directly displayed on the shelf. The nameplate reads, Universal Laser Cutting Saw. Is this the laser weapon that Yunrang mentioned? A saw? A saw made with the principle of laser should have a very strong cutting ability, much stronger than the electric saw that Chang Ning just picked up, and should be almost indestructible. But this small saw is very different from the laser weapon that Chang Ning imagined. At least let's have a Skywalker. He smacked his lips, looked in the direction ahead, and couldn't help but brighten his eyes. Chapter 83 Skywalker 1. When Chang Ning was thinking about Skywalker, he looked up and saw something in front of him. He saw something like a hilt. That thing can be held in one hand, and there is a button on it. If the button can fire a laser when pressed, isn't that the Skywalker lightsaber that Chang Ning saw in the movie? There is such a thing. Chang Ning was very happy. Imagine how cool it would be to hold a big sword that can glow when fighting with others, not to mention that the blade of this sword is a laser, which is indestructible. Chang Ning walked over and squatted down to look at the nameplate below. Handheld laser multifunctional device. It can really emit lasers. Chang Ning couldn't wait to take this hilt in his hand and carefully press the button. Nothing happened. He didn't give up. Maybe some internal parts were corroded, or it was simply out of power. He released his awakening ability at his fingertips, and a starlight enveloped the hilt. The hilt floated in the air and disassembled, and returned to Chang Ning's hand after refreshing. Press the button again. As the strength of the thumb increased, the hilt really began to emit light, and a lightsaber slowly grew out of the hilt. Chang Ning tried to swing it, and did not feel any weight or resistance on the hilt. It looked like there was really a laser on it, and it had no substance at all. He gently passed the blade of the lightsaber over a corner of the shelf, and with no resistance at all, the bulge on the shelf fell off as the lightsaber cut. The entire cut surface was very smooth. Chang Ning tried to release his thumb from the button on the hilt, and slowly, the beam of light retracted. He held the hilt in his hand, and kept playing with it, and loved it very much. After playing for a while, he squatted down to read the instructions under the nameplate. Handheld laser multifunctional equipment can be used for emergency drilling, cutting, clearing obstacles, etc., and can adapt to all working environments that need to deal with hard objects. When used in disaster relief, it has many advantages such as small size, easy to carry, and powerful functions. This device is powered by a battery. The user only needs to open the safety at the bottom of the device and then press the thumb on the device button to emit a laser beam of controllable length. The principle of forming a laser is to use microwaves to create ions. A large number of ions are ejected from the device's emission hole to form a small beam of concentrated laser. Note that this device is extremely dangerous and is only suitable for certified disaster relief personnel. It is strictly forbidden to leak out. Chang Ning touched his chin. In the 21st century, he heard some microwaves create ions, which inspired the idea of controllable lasers. But the technology at that time was not mature, and it was far from the Skywalker light sword in his hand. Chang Ning decided to name it Skywalker No. 1 and replace the machete as his melee weapon. It is not known whether this Skywalker 1 is too dangerous or too technical. Several small display items are placed side by side, but although Skywalker 1 is small enough, there is only one sample. But it is better to have it than not. He found the safety switch at the bottom, turned off the laser sword, and then pressed the button with his thumb again to try it. There was indeed no laser coming out, so he inserted it into his waist. He didn't want to make more holes in his body because of accidental pressing while walking. After putting Skywalker 1 away, Chang Ning continued to explore this temporary storage area for innovative equipment. It must be said that before the apocalyptic disaster in the 24th century, people had reached the pinnacle of human civilization in terms of technology and imagination. Unfortunately, human civilization came to an abrupt end under a world-destroying disaster. Otherwise, after more than 300 years of development, I don't know what kind of brilliant civilization can be developed. Most of the things left in this area are similar to fully automatic intelligent medical robots, or self-expanding houses, which have a strong practical effect on the food, clothing, housing, transportation and post-disaster recovery of the disaster-stricken areas. But Chang Ning didn't need these things for the time being. He turned back to the area where canned food was stored with a sense of unfulfilled desire. Young Qian was still eating there, and there were already more than a dozen empty cans piled up at her feet. Xiao Bao was staring at the mountain of cans in a daze, and he seemed to have not yet come out of the shock. He has been here for so many days, and it is estimated that there is something wrong with his mind. His reaction ability is very slow now, and his reflex arc is also very long. How is it? Did you enjoy the meal? Chang Ning greeted young Qian from a distance. It's okay. Young Qian continued to chew the food in her mouth while answering. If you enjoy the meal, let's go back first and tell your sister about the situation here. Chang Ning said. In the final analysis, most of the supplies here are still for the residents of Yanqing and the surrounding people. For Chang Ning, except for those rare things in the innovative equipment temporary storage area, they are not very useful. Now Chang Ning has the Barrett for long-range weapons and the Skywalker 1 for melee weapons. It can be said that he has confidence in long-range and melee attacks. Equipped with a medium-range weapon Desert Eagle and the black and gold clothes that ordinary pistols cannot penetrate, Chang Ning feels that he is armed to the teeth in this era. For non-awakened people of this era, even if they get the firearms in the warehouse, it is not an easy task to break Chang Ning's defense. What's more, if the treasure house is handed over to young Xiansu, she will definitely control the firearms inside. And if he encounters an awakened opponent, Chang Ning can only leave it to fate. After all, the awakened have various abilities, some of which are very strange. Chang Ning heard that there are awakened people who specialize in attacking the spirit, which is simply impossible to defend against. Therefore, he cannot gain a foothold in this era by himself. His idea remains unchanged, with the goal of uniting the people who can be united around Shanghai City, exploring and inheriting the science and technology of the old world's human beings, and restoring the living standards before the world-destroying disaster. Chang Ning chose to start from Yanqing, the center of wasteland civilization in the Shanghai area. Let's give this warehouse away as a big gift first. Young Qian nodded. Okay then. Brothers ironing, do you have a bag? Chang Ning was puzzled. Bag? Young Kai and Kian tilted her head to look at Xiang Bao. It's the big bag he takes every time he explores. After saying that, she looked at the canned food mountain with shining eyes. Chang Ning was speechless. Are you still afraid that they will run away? Go back first, and then you can find a big bag, and put as many as you want. Young Kai and Kian shook her head. No, I don't feel at ease if I don't take some. Then she turned around and wandered around the shelves, found the largest box, opened it, and poured out all the sweet potato wide noodles inside. Then she walked to the canned food mountain and filled it. What are you still standing there for? Young Kai and Kian looked up at the two men. Come and help me fill it together. Oh. Xiang Bao nodded, walked over obediently, and started to fill the canned food together. Chang Ning shook his head helplessly and walked over to help. After a while, a whole box of canned food was filled to the brim. This box is about a little more than 1 cubic meter, and it is estimated that there are several hundred kilograms of canned food in it. Young Kai and Kian happily dragged the box towards the door. Only this box was strong enough, otherwise, an ordinary box would have broken long ago if it was loaded with such heavy things. The three of them passed through the iron gate, passed by the transport robots, and came to the hole in the floor, which led to the 3-story small warehouse below. Robots? Chang Ning suddenly had an idea. Since there are these robots and the power here has been temporarily restored, can we achieve automated transportation with the help of the warehouse manager's computer? Chapter 84, The Difference Between Men and Women. Chang Ning decided to test this idea next time he came. He still had a lot of things to do. First, he told Yun Xianzu, the Lord of Yuncheng, about the discovery of the warehouse, and planned with her the use of materials in the subsequent development of Yuncheng. Then he had to go to the superstructure of Yuncheng again, and use Skywalker 1 to break Yunrang's defense, and see if he could rescue him. These things have a high priority. Researching the automated transportation here can be put off a bit. So he went straight down the floor and went up the ladder to the 3rd floor. Young Kai and Kian lifted the box up and landed on the 3rd floor with a light jump. It didn't cause any vibration or loud noise. The body control ability of this master level fighter is really not to be underestimated. Xiang Bao almost cried again when he saw the exit and couldn't wait to follow Chang Ning down the ladder. The three of them dragged the box out of the big iron door of the small warehouse and met Huandang, who was looking around. Yeah? Huandang was shocked to see the burly Xiang Bao following Chang Ning and Yun Kai and Kian out of the warehouse. Xiang Bao finally saw another human being. He was a little excited and looked at Huandang affectionately, which gave Huandang goosebumps. Where are you from? Huandang finally couldn't help asking Xiang Bao. Chang Ning answered for him. He was accidentally trapped in the building above. We just happened to see him and rescued him. The building above. Huandang felt that his brain was short-circuited. Isn't the Yuncheng treasury behind the iron gate? There are no other entrances and exits to the treasury? Could this guy be trapped in the treasury? Wait. I'm the gatekeeper, and someone sneaked into the gate I was guarding, but I didn't notice? This is a big deal. He quickly made a thoughtful expression and nodded to Xiang Bao. So that's the case. Be careful next time. The routes in Yuncheng are a bit complicated, and even I sometimes get lost. Then he stepped aside and let them pass. Xiang Bao looked like he was willing to learn and continued to stare at Huandang. Let's go. Chang Ning kicked his butt, took the two of them out, followed the zigzag route down to the 1st floor, and took the elevator to the 17th floor. As soon as they came up, Yun Xianzu was on the large balcony on the 17th floor. She looked a little pale, as if she had just overexerted herself. There was a pile of grey powder and several huge oil drums next to her. Chang Ning knew that she had just used the awakening ability of the decomposer to decompose and make diesel here. Seeing Chang Ning and the other two coming up, Yun Xianzu, who was sitting and resting, stood up with a smile. Chang Jiangzang, Kai and Kian, are you going to rob somewhere? There was no way. The big box that Yun Kai and Kian was dragging was too conspicuous. Except for Huandang, a technical geek who didn't care about the outside world. Everyone on the way paid attention to the big box. This matter is a bit complicated to talk about. Let's talk about it in your room later. Chang Ning spoke behind Yun Kai and Kian. Yan Xianzu nodded with a smile and saw the bear leopard behind Chang Ning. She recognized that this was a relic hunter who had been haunting Yancheng during this period and was caught by Chang Ning and Yan Qian some time ago. I heard that he escaped again later. It seems that he met Yan Qian, the little evil star, again today. Could it be that this box of canned food was robbed from Xiang Bao? After Xiang Bao came up, he greedily breathed in the air from high above, his eyes darting around, looking at the scenery below, and then at the dozen people standing on the balcony. Yan Xianzu felt that this guy's expression did not look like he was caught. When she was wondering, Xiang Bao walked up to her and said loudly, "Hello, City Lord. I'm Xiang Bao. Yancheng is my home, and the construction depends on everyone. I will contribute to Yancheng." Yan Xianzu looked confused and looked at the excited big man in front of her blankly. Chang Ning spread his hands. This guy seems to be trapped in a completely dark place, and there are some problems here. As he said, he pointed to his head. Yan Xianzu suddenly realized, there are too many dangers in this era. There are many people who survive in the end times who have problems with their brains. Yan Xianzu has seen a lot. She didn't take it seriously. Let's go. There's nothing to do now. Let's go to my room. Chang Ning followed Yan Xianzu to the 21st floor, and Yan Qian greeted him, commanded Xiang Bao to carry the box, and went to her own room. Back in her room, Yan Xianzu skillfully took off her outer clothes in front of Chang Ning, wearing only the small clothes on her body, and then took the silk indoor pajamas from the hanger next to her, and put them on. Chang Ning was not surprised, and was used to the etiquette of men and women in this era. He didn't know whether people's awareness of the difference between men and women was so weak before the apocalypse in the 24th century, or whether the new humans in the wasteland after the apocalypse became like this. However, according to the current evidence, the new humans in the wasteland are likely to have developed from a group of children under the age of 8 before the apocalypse. Chang Ning recalled that when he was 7 or 8 years old, he didn't have any gender awareness. In fact, the difference between men and women in the 21st century is not innate in human genes, but has been passed down from thousands of years of civilized society, and the shackles of etiquette have been gradually imposed on people. Therefore, Chang Ning could fully understand the current state of humans in the post-apocalyptic wasteland, and even somewhat agree with it. He pretended to look ahead casually, his eyes sweeping over Yan Xianzu's body as she was changing clothes. Well, not bad. This waist-to-hip ratio. Yan Xianzu changed quickly, picked up the robe, and put it on, then tied a knot around her waist, untied the hairband on her hair, let her hair down, leaned on the chair, and while fixing her hair, she said to Chang Ning, "What's going on? You are so mysterious, and you have to come to my room to talk." Chang Ning also sat on the chair opposite her. "Do you remember the people from Linqing and Yangcheng some time ago?" "I remember. What's the matter?" "At that time, they said that Yancheng had a huge treasure house. Anyway, you can't use so many things, why not share them with them?" TSK. Yan Xianzu was a little disdainful. "It's just an excuse they made up to attack Yancheng." Chang Ning shook his head. "What they said is true. There is a huge treasure house inside the Yancheng building, which is at least 10,000 times larger than the Yancheng treasure house you have discovered now." Yan Xianzu widened his eyes and became serious. "How is it possible? Just now, Qian and I went to find the entrance ourselves, and the cans she brought back were moved out of it. There are at least hundreds of thousands of cans in it, piled up like a small mountain." Yan Xianzu stood up. "Where is the treasure house? What else is in it?" Chang Ning waved his hand to signal her to sit down. "Don't worry, I will tell you the situation in detail. Although they are all materials left over from the old world, many of them can still be used. Moreover, there are so many that the people in Yancheng can't use them all. So, I want to discuss it with you first." Chang Ning told Yan Xianzu the types and quantities of materials in the warehouse, and told him his plan. Chapter 85 Four Things. After hearing Chang Ning's description, Yan Xianzu felt a little dizzy. Born in a doomsday wasteland with extremely scarce supplies, she could hardly understand why there were so many things in the warehouse. She didn't know that in the old world before the end of the world, more than 20 million people lived in this small area of Hucheng. The disaster relief supplies prepared for more than 20 million people are simply too rich compared to the population of 2,000 to 3,000 in Yancheng. And now the population of the entire Hacheng area, Chang Ning estimated last time, is less than 10,000. There is only one large human gathering point in the entire Hacheng area, Yancheng, and more than 30 small towns similar to Yaosan. The end of the world has withered to this point, and almost all people are in a state of extreme shortage of supplies. Big cities like Yancheng are better, with enough young and middle-aged laborers, fishing equipment, and supplies from the small warehouse Yancheng Treasure House, so there are not too many days of hunger. Small towns like Yaosan are much worse. Before, Yancheng asked Yaosan to pay tribute, and the amount required was not much. Yaosan was in a gloomy mood, which would cause many people in the town to starve for several days. As for a life without worries about food and clothing, and no shortage of supplies, sorry, the people here have never seen it. With the supplement of Yancheng's disaster relief supplies center, now, let alone the entire Yancheng, even if all the towns around Yancheng, and even the farther Lincheng, Yangcheng and other places, everyone can maintain a life for a long time, even if they no longer work. Yancheng, who was shocked by this information, her little face was full of surprise, and her mouth opened into an O shape, unable to close for a long time. She had the urge to go down and check the huge treasure house immediately, but was stopped by Chang Ning. After having these things, I think we don't have to continue living the same way as before. Chang Ning said to her. How to live? Yancheng, whose face was full of confusion. Do you feel that there have been a lot more laborers in Yancheng in recent times? It seems so. After you, Chang Jiangzhang, and Master Zun Lu made those things, many people have been idle. Yancheng who agreed. Chang Ning nodded. That's what I mean. We can integrate Yancheng with the surrounding towns and upgrade the industry. Industrial upgrade? For example, the way we used to get food was mainly through fishing, hunting, and picking, right? These methods are not only inefficient in obtaining food, but also relatively single in variety. I taught them to farm in Yao Town and rely on grain as a staple food. With some fertilizers and modern machinery and equipment, the staple food produced by one person's farming can support more than a dozen or even dozens of people. In this way, there will be more free manpower than in Yancheng now. Then, these free manpower can be used in other places. Other places? Yancheng who still didn't quite understand. The life of struggling to survive in the doomsday wasteland made it impossible for her to imagine the old world with a clear division of labor and a prosperous economy. For example, making clothes. Now everyone in Yancheng wears simple animal skins made by themselves, or remnants of clothes left over from the old world. Imagine if everyone in the future can have many clothes, and girls can have their own wardrobes filled with their favorite clothes. What kind of scene would that be? Yancheng whose eyes lit up. There is no girl who doesn't like all kinds of clothes, even the female city lord in the doomsday wasteland. Is it really possible? But wouldn't it be too wasteful to have so many clothes? As a city lord, Chang Ning has only seen her wear 3 or 4 clothes. One is a black and gold coat commonly used by high-level officials in Yancheng. One is a coat with a strong waistland style worn when performing tasks outside, and the other is a silk nightgown worn at home. Yancheng who has never thought about having a whole wardrobe of clothes. Chang Ning smiled and said, of course it's possible. If everyone can do more things, more manpower will be freed up to do other things. In this way, when the efficiency of everything and every job is improved, our lives will be very different. Regarding the collaboration of social division of labor and the layout of industrial upgrading, this is what I think. Before he finished speaking, Yancheng who interrupted him and said, stop. I don't understand what you say, just tell me what to do. Chang Ning nodded. Okay. What you need to do now are 4 things. Yancheng who sat up straight, listened carefully, and took the next words to heart. The first thing is to get people. Although Yancheng has the largest population in the vicinity, it is still far from enough. We need more people to develop better. My idea is that we should start from the small towns around Yancheng and slowly gather the surrounding population. Tell them that, as long as they come to Yancheng to work, and as long as they can contribute, Yancheng will promise to give them enough food. I think that there are not many people in the world who can refuse the condition of having a full meal every day. In addition, we should build relationships with the mayors and other awakened people in the towns around Yancheng, and it would be best if they can join Yancheng together. In this way, thousands of people in our entire surrounding area can gather together and do something. Yancheng nodded. That's no problem. I will arrange for those people from the original intelligence department to go to various towns to spread the news tomorrow. They are the people who went to Yaosin to collect tax grain last time. Originally, they should have been disliked last time, but if they go this time, they should become popular people. As he said, he smiled. Chang Ning also smiled at her and continued, the second thing is to develop education. Education? What is that? Yanchien was a little puzzled. She seemed to have heard of this word, but she didn't quite understand it. It means that people can all be literate and know some basic knowledge of nature and society. After all, workers who rely solely on selling their own labor create less value. For example, a piece of farmland, a pure laborer can cultivate at most 10 acres of land. Oh, that is, about 20 or 30 acres of farmland as big as your room. But a laborer with knowledge and who can operate machines can cultivate hundreds of acres or even more farmland. There is an essential difference. Yanchien nodded and listened carefully. Then, in order to let more people in Yancheng have some knowledge, we need to carry out education. I suggest that Zunlu take the lead in this. Every night, let the people who come back to rest organize to study together, which is called night school. Zunlu will teach them to read and impart some basic knowledge to them. Then when more and more people can read, we will have enough educators to continue to carry out basic education. Let every child over the age of 7 go to school around the clock and systematically learn all kinds of knowledge from an early age. Yanchien said, although this sounds far-fetched, it doesn't seem like something we can do in Yancheng. But I still support you. You can discuss the specific details with Zunlu, and I will let the laborers who come back every day go to Zunlu to learn first. What are the other two things? Chapter 86, Cloud Medicine Fast Track. The third thing is to do a good job of land planning and road construction. This is the most labor-intensive thing at the moment. Chang Ning continued to talk to Yanchien. As I just said, in the future, each of us will have his or her own professional division of labor. They may be farmers, workers who operate production machines, or teachers who teach children. But once there are more industries, the land needs to be planned. At present, all of us live in Yancheng, which is inconvenient. There are too many ruins of the old world around Yancheng, and there is no flat and fertile land, which is not suitable for building farmland. There are not many factories in the old world that can be renovated and put into use directly. So Yancheng can only be used as an administrative and educational center in the future. What is that? Although Yanchien felt that he had tried very hard to listen carefully, he still couldn't understand the meaning of some terms. We will use Yancheng as the base for managers and children. As for agricultural and industrial land, we need to look for other land outside. Yanchien nodded this time. I understand. Just like a fleet has a base on the bank of a river. Although it is not in Yancheng, it is full of Yancheng people and a base Yancheng management. Chang Ning smiled and said, that's what I mean. In fact, the land near Yaosin is more suitable for planning into farmland. In the old world, there were large tracts of fertile fields over there, and there was no need to spend a lot of effort to cultivate it. We can temporarily regard Yaosin as the future agricultural center of Yancheng. As for the industrial center, I need to continue exploring nearby to see where is the most suitable. That's no problem. Yancheng is not far from Yaosin anyway. Yanchien agreed. I have arranged for people in Yao town to start planting rice. When the rice matures this season, we can sow a lot of seeds and expand the planting in the next season. It is estimated that after next year, the food produced by the farmland near Yao town will be enough to feed the people of Yancheng and all the surrounding towns. But Yao town obviously does not have enough manpower to reclaim more land. And after the initial reforms, Yancheng already has some surplus labor. What I mean is that you can send some of them to Yao town first to farm with the residents of Yao town and reclaim enough farmland first. Okay. Yanchien nodded. Then, the road from Yancheng to Yaosun is not very good, with winding paths through the forest all the way. In the future, there will definitely be a large amount of food and other supplies traveling between these two places, so I suggest that you stop some of the hunting and fishing first, free up some manpower, and cooperate with other people recruited from the surrounding towns to build a road. From Yancheng to Yaosun, it should be an asphalt road that meets the road standards of the old world. Well, let's call it the Unravels Expressway. Unravels Expressway? Yunshians who thought about it. Anyway, there was so much food in the treasure house, so he wouldn't have to worry about food for a long time, so building a road was okay. She nodded. Okay, I'll talk to Jai Yao and Ko Jinglang tomorrow and let them do it. Okay. In addition to the Unravels Expressway, we will also build roads from Yancheng to the industrial base, from Yancheng to the port, and even after we build some residential areas outside, the roads from Yancheng to the residential areas will be gradually built. So it's best to use the same group of people, gradually accumulate experience, and then they can become professional construction workers. You can also arrange some mountain movers and awakened people from the Department of Architecture to go in. Yunshians added, from what you said, mountain movers and awakened people from the Department of Architecture may be better. One can replace many ordinary people. Chang Ning's eyes lit up. He hadn't thought of applying the special abilities of awakened people to the subsequent construction. After Yunshian's reminder, he thought it was a good idea. In the old world, there were no awakened people, so everyone divided the work according to ordinary people. Now that we have awakened people, why not use them? When there is no excavator or the road is not smooth, a mountain mover can play a decisive role. The awakened ones in the Department of Architecture are even stronger in construction. As long as they are taught the specific structure of each building and the approximate proportion of the raw materials of each component, they can use their awakening abilities to build the corresponding things. Before, Zunlu asked Huandang to make a shotgun, but Huandang said it was too difficult. But what if it is to build a road? That is much simpler than the big iron gate that Huandang is good at building. As long as you remember a ratio, you can build it all the way flat. There is no simpler construction job than this. Once these awakened ones join in, even if there are not so many construction equipment and not many workers who can use construction machines in the early stage, the construction speed of the Unravels Expressway will not be too slow. He nodded to Yunshianzu and said, yes, arrange some suitable awakened ones in, and those who are capable will do more work. What a capable one. It is worthy of being the Changjiang sect to say such a reasonable thing. Yunshianzu's eyes were full of stars when he heard Chang Ning talk about it. Until now, this unknown mystery has a fatal attraction for some women. Chang Ning seemed unaware and said awkwardly, hey, it's just an ordinary sentence, don't mind it. What's the other thing? Yunshianzu stared at Chang Ning. The last thing is diplomatic work. Chang Ning's face became a little serious. He was sure to convince Yunshianzu about the previous few things. After all, they were all objectively achievable, and each of them was good for Yancheng. But he was a little nervous about whether Yunshianzu would accept this matter. Chang Ning knew that to realize the old world, such as the level of industrialization in the 21st century, a huge population base was needed. Only when there were enough workers with a certain knowledge system could the legacy of the old world be picked up again, and human civilization quickly get on track. The population in the Hucheng area was too small. There were less than 10,000 people in total, not even as many as the population of a community in the era when Chang Ning lived. In the 21st century, many factories and universities had a population of over 10,000. Some larger communities, such as Maotang community in Yanjing, had a permanent population of over 500,000. Only with a sufficient population can things flourish. There were originally few people in this era, and the child mortality rate was extremely high. As far as Chang Ning knows, nearly 90% of newborn babies die in the first black moon. Only after the first black moon will parents give their children a name and truly raise the baby as their own. Chang Ning estimated that this was related to the strange weather phenomena in the black moon. But when he came to this era, the black moon had just ended, so he did not have time to study the specific reasons. According to this ratio, Chang Ning suspected that the entire population has been in negative growth for the past 300 years after the destruction of the world. If this continues, the population will become smaller and smaller in the future, and the hope of recovery will be even slimmer. Therefore, it is necessary to unite all humans who can be contacted now, form an alliance to carry out construction, and there should be no more meaningless fighting between humans. Chang Ning expressed this idea, and then looked at Yan Xianzu. He didn't know whether the humans of this era had feuds, and whether his idea could be accepted. Chapter 87 Cooking Rice. After Chang Ning expressed this idea, he looked at Yan Xianzu, but Yan Xianzu's face showed a hint of doubt. In her understanding, everything in this world is about interests. Yang Cheng has what Yang Cheng and Lin Cheng need, and Yang Cheng and Lin Cheng find an excuse to come and grab it, which is an interest. The 5th uncle and the 7th uncle are dissatisfied with the rule of Yan Xianzu's father, and want to overthrow him to control Yan Cheng, which is also an interest. There has never been such a thing as national hatred, family hatred, life, and death integrity. If we need more people, and we happen to be able to provide them with enough food and other living supplies, then using these things in exchange for those people to join, isn't this the most normal operation? Seeing Yan Xianzu's expression, Chang Ning knew that he was overthinking. So he smiled at her. I think we can take the initiative to contact them. Moreover, in addition to Yang Cheng and Lin Cheng, there are other large cities with large populations nearby. We can contact them one by one. Now there are some police weapons in the warehouse. With these weapons, ordinary people can also effectively kill ordinary awakeners. As for high-end combat power, we have the master level fighter Yun Qian Qian here, and we can use psychic cannons for defense. I think it is not too dangerous to contact other people extensively at this stage. Yan Xianzu agreed. You think very comprehensively. I can let you use the banner of Yan Cheng to contact other forces. As long as we can benefit from joining forces with them, why not? As for other large cities, the nearest ones are Yang Cheng and Lin Cheng, which are about a day's journey away from us. There are also many cities that are farther away, such as Jinling City and Qiantang City. It is said that these large cities have more people than Yancheng, but it takes several days to get there. It is very dangerous for ordinary people to spend the night in the wild. Only professional relic hunters can well cross the unmanned journey in the middle of the city for several days. Professional relic hunter? Isn't there one around me? Chang Ning thought of Xiang Bao, whose brain might have been broken. He wondered if this fool could still be a relic hunter now. Moreover, one of his awakening abilities was the gust of wind system, and the awakeners of this system were famous for their moving speed. If he was asked to be a messenger to contact a slightly distant city, he should be a good candidate. At that moment, Chang Ning talked to Yan Xianzu for a long time in her room. They mainly talked about the details of the 4 suggestions just now. After the two of them finished talking, they asked Tuan Qian, Jia Yao, Ko Jinglong, and Zun Lu to come over and assigned their tasks to everyone. It was almost dark now. Chang Ning touched the Skywalker number 1 on his waist. It seemed that he could not go up to help Yunrong out of trouble today. It was too dangerous to go up at night. The most terrifying insane ghost in this area, the one called Li Ling, often visited the top of Yancheng. It would be better to go and see after dawn. Speaking of Li Ling, should I hire someone to watch it on the rooftop of Yancheng? This way, I can roughly know which day it is up and which day it is down. Otherwise, if I try my luck every time I go up, what if I have bad luck one day and go up when Li Ling is on top and then accidentally enter a space that is isolated from light? Is there a danger of encountering it? Although I'm not afraid of ordinary humans and evil beasts with this equipment, I heard that the abilities of the Lost Heart Ghost are very strange, not to mention that Li Ling can kill several Grandmaster level awakeners. If you can avoid meeting it, try not to meet it. After having dinner with everyone, Chang Ning finally couldn't stand Yan Xianzu's pleading and took her down to see the disaster relief material allocation center in Yancheng. Although it was dark, it was not too dangerous to move around the buildings in Yancheng. After seeing this warehouse with a huge area and bright lights with his own eyes, Yan Xianzu felt even more dizzy. Is this the thing that has been hidden in Yancheng? I have lived in Yancheng for so many years, and my predecessors have always lived in Yancheng, just above this giant treasure house. How come they haven't found it? It really feels like sitting on a mountain of gold and starving all the time. Chang Ning followed her as she walked through the huge warehouse. She had seen the lights Chang Ning had made before, but she had never seen so many and so densely packed, lights all over the 4-story ceiling. Yan Xiansu stared at the ceiling like a little girl seeing fireworks for the first time. After a long time, she lowered her head to look at the things on the shelves. 3 hours later, Chang Ning finally finished touring the warehouse with Yan Xiansu, Jia Yao, Ko Jinglong, and Huang Qian, who came in with them. Each carried 2 bags of rice and followed them down. Chang Ning found it a little funny to see how they were moving rice. However, according to the amount of rice in the warehouse and the amount consumed by the outside world, it was really laborious and inefficient to move it by manpower. If the transport robot could be used, things would be much easier. Chang Ning decided that, after finishing the urgent matter, he would open the computer left by the warehouse manager to see if the management system on the computer could be used again after the power supply of the entire material center was restored. If it can be reused, then in the previously smaller Yancheng treasure house, that is, the allocation center of the material warehouse, some automated facilities will be built, and then the materials from the allocation center will be moved to Yancheng. If the whole process is completed by robots and automated equipment, the efficiency will be much higher. It was already midnight when the few people returned to Yancheng, but Yan Xiansu still kept Chang Ning and the others in the room. Then he called his little maid, together with Su Panpan and other maids, to unpack the rice that was moved, and told them to cook it in the pot. Several people have never eaten rice in their lives. The best food in Yancheng before was canned food and compressed biscuits, which were also left over from the old world. But rice from the old world has never been searched. Except for the preservation environment of the material center, the rice left in other places has long been rotten after 300 years. The small kitchen on the 21st floor became busy, and soon, the aroma of rice was overflowing. Chang Ning could clearly smell that there was an obvious musty smell and a strange smell from nowhere in the rice. These two smells mixed with the rice smell made Chang Ning look a little strange. The smell of rice also attracted Yan Qian. From a distance, her voice could be heard in the corridor. "What is that? What are you eating secretly behind my back?" After hearing that the rice was brought up from the warehouse, her eyes lit up, and she squatted in Yan Xiansu's room and refused to leave. They had all heard that the Yancheng treasury, that is, the small warehouse in the allocation center, had rice stored. But the previous generations of Yancheng had eaten it all. As a result, they had never eaten a grain of rice in their entire lives. Today, I, Yan Qian, will have meat. Yan Qian held her little hands, murmured in her heart, and her eyes were determined. Chapter 88 Heading to the upper level again. Soon, the rice was cooked, and the maids were busy serving the hot rice, 1 bowl per person, to the people present. Because there was a lot of rice, a big pot of rice was cooked this time. Yan Xiansu ordered the maids to serve the rice, and send it to the people on duty in Yancheng to eat together. After each person had a bowl of rice, everyone's eyes were shining. The aroma of rice seemed to have a special temptation for humans. Just like barbecue, the smell alone could arouse people's nerves. Chang Jiangzang, come and eat. Yan Xiansu handed the first bowl of rice to Chang Ning. Chang Ning took it, and the musty smell of the rice became stronger. He turned around and handed the bowl of rice to Yan Qian. "I'm not hungry, you guys just eat it. Come. Qian, this is for you first." Yan Qian grinned, "Brothers ironing. I'm not good to you in vain." Then she took it, picked it up with chopsticks, and ate it in big mouthfuls, talking while eating. Good. Others also picked up their bowls and ate at different speeds. For a while, no one cared to talk. In the end, there was 1 bowl left, and Chang Ning reluctantly picked it up and tasted it. He almost vomited it on the spot, but he still held back, chewed it and swallowed it, and put the bowl down again, not wanting to eat a second bite. This rice has the aroma of all rice, but it is not chewy at all. It becomes something like bad rice residue when it enters the mouth, mixed with an inevitable musty smell that has been deposited for 300 years, which makes people lose their appetite. But seeing the sweet look of others eating, Chang Ning also held back and didn't say anything inappropriate. After a while, Yan Kai and Qian finished eating first. She put the bowl down and wiped her mouth, looking unsatisfied. Chang Ning took the opportunity to push the bowl in front of her. "Here, there is another bowl here." "Really? Can you really give it to me?" She stared at Chang Ning with a pair of shining eyes. "Of course, eat it." Chang Ning was very generous. Yan Kai and Qian picked up the bowl again and ate it with a slurp. After a while, except for Chang Ning, everyone in the room burped and sat there holding their stomachs. The power of rice is so terrifying. For someone who has never eaten rice, the first time they eat rice, even if it is moldy or a little bit bad, can make them eat it so sweet. "Let's go to bed after eating. We can move more rice out tomorrow and cook some more to feed the whole city," Chang Ning suggested. Yan Xianzu nodded. She had asked Tuan Kai to send someone to guard the warehouse with Huandang, and those awakened people were also equipped with police revolvers in the warehouse. Superpowers plus pistols. Everyone would be afraid. Tomorrow she will discuss with Huan Kai a complete, safe and feasible plan for entering and exiting the warehouse. In this way, the materials in the warehouse can be orderly exited every day under the planning of the high-level management of Yancheng. Yancheng will have a steady supply of food, freeing up all the people who search for food. Some of them will join the construction of the Unravels expressway, and some will go to Yaosin to reclaim farmland. In short, starting from tomorrow, all the people in Yancheng will start a different life, as Chang Ning said. Thinking of this, Yan Xianzu's eyes looking at Chang Ning became brighter, which made Huan Kai, who had just put down his bowl, a little confused. After everyone finished eating, they left Yan Xianzu's room one after another. Starting tomorrow, they all have heavy tasks to do. Chang Ning also returned to his room accompanied by Su Panpan, and then closed the door in Su Panpan's resentful eyes. The next day, it was early in the morning before the sun rose again, and Chang Ning went to the 21st floor rooftop as usual to exercise. Starting today, Zunlu will explore the site of the Unravels expressway during the day, and teach the workers in Yancheng to read and write during their free time at night. Jia Yao and Ko Jinglang will take some members of the original hunting team and fleet to Yaosin to open up new farmland under the guidance of Sister Zhu and others. Xiang Bao will take Chang Ning's ideas about cooperation to the surrounding cities such as Yangcheng, Lincheng, Jinlingcheng, Qiantangcheng, etc., as an envoy to exchange opinions. Yan Kai and Qian probably eats rice until she is full every day. Chang Ning himself has a lot of things to do one by one. The most urgent of them is to go to the superstructure of Yancheng again to see if Yanran can be rescued. I don't know if Li Ling is upstairs or downstairs today. While Chang Ning was exercising, he observed the 4 pillars supporting the sky in Yancheng. There was no figure on them. After a while, the sun rose and Chang Ning finished his exercise. He wiped the sweat off his face, went downstairs to take a shower in his room, and ate some breakfast. The main dishes were still the barbecue of the Cloud City hunting team and the mushrooms grown on the 17th floor. As for the rice, whoever likes it can eat it. After eating, he wiped his mouth, skillfully picked up the backpack with ropes, and walked onto the rooftop again. It's a bit troublesome. Looking up from under the giant pillar, Chang Ning was a little scared of climbing this pillar again. It would be great if there was even one elevator in the giant elevator shaft in the center of Cloud City that could be operated. He thought helplessly. In this way, he wouldn't have to climb up every time. It would take half a day to climb to the foundation platform of the superstructure, and there would only be half a day available for exploration on it. But there was no way. He still had to climb up by himself at this stage. If future explorations confirmed that the superstructure was valuable, then a diesel-powered elevator similar to the one on the balcony on the 17th floor could be built to serve as a temporary elevator. Just like last time, Chang Ning started by climbing diagonally upwards, and after reaching the back of the pillar, he went straight up. After much effort, when the sun was about to reach the top of his head, Chang Ning finally stood on the foundation platform of the superstructure of Yancheng again. It seemed that there was no difference between here and the last time he came here. There were empty streets, shops with broken windows on the roadside, and high-rise buildings that could not be seen from the top. Chang Ning knew that the foundation of the superstructure of Yancheng was 91 floors. In other words, Richard's room on the 168th floor had to climb 77 floors from here. Chang Ning estimated that when he set out from the 21st floor rooftop in the morning and arrived at Richard's room, it would be almost dusk. In fact, this distance was only about 10 minutes in the elevator before the apocalyptic disaster in the 24th century. But it is so difficult now. After complaining for a while, he still took out the rappelling rope, tied a rappelling knot on the guardrail at the edge of the platform, and then took out the Desert Eagle and Skywalker #1 laser sword, and walked carefully to the security booth, where he met Yunrong last time. He walked into the security booth with ease, crossed the hall, and walked to the room on the right. "Hey, old man, look what I found." Chang Ning pushed the door open and shouted, but he didn't hear a response from inside. He suddenly felt that something was wrong. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89, Extraordinary Level Murder Case. "Hey, old man." Chang Ning shook the hilt of the Skywalker #1 laser sword in his hand and opened the door, but there was no response from the room. Yunrong still maintained his previous posture, locked in this room by 4 large iron plates, with his head sticking out of the hole in the wall. But the whole person did not move. "Old man, what's wrong with you?" Chang Ning felt a little uneasy. He put the hilt back into his waist, quickly walked around the piles of meat on the ground, and walked to the side of Yunrong's head. Yunrong's originally dark face, full of wrinkles and age spots, had turned a little pale, and his lips were blue and purple. Although his facial skin was extremely bad, his facial features were almost invisible. But looking at this face, you can roughly know that this person is no longer alive. Chang Ning stretched out his hand near Yunrong's nostrils to test, and sure enough, there was no breath. Then he put his fingers on his neck, and did not feel any pulse. Probably, it should be dead. A superhuman who had lived alone in the upper structure of Yancheng for 100 years, and just when he came up and found him, he died? How could it be such a coincidence? Chang Ning took out the Skywalker #1 laser sword, cleaned the wall near Yunrong's head, and enlarged a larger hole. Then he observed the outside world. This seemed to be a place similar to an alley, and in front was the outer wall of the main building of the upper structure of Yancheng. This alley was the dividing line between the main building and the shops on the street. There was nothing abnormal in the alley, and it was covered with a thick layer of moss. And through careful observation, the moss did not show any signs of being stepped on or damaged. Yunrong's eyes were closed, and his brows seemed to be wrinkled. It seemed that he had suffered great pain before he died. But he did not have any external injuries, and his exposed head and body in the room were intact. How did he die? If he said he died of old age, Chang Ning would not believe it. A person who had lived for more than 100 years died of old age in these 2 days. Isn't this too coincidental? It can only be killed by someone or something else. But there are absolutely no signs of other people coming here. There are some footprints in the room, but they were left by me when I came here the day before yesterday. I'm familiar with the shoe prints. It's a bit strange. You know, Yunrong is the only extraordinary awakener Chang Ning has ever seen. Although he is old and about to die, he is extraordinary after all. He himself said that he still has a few months to live, and it is absolutely impossible for him to die now. And Chang Ning knows that the people below Yancheng have not come up for more than 100 years. So, if it is not done by humans, could it be a crazy ghost? But Yunrong has been trapped here for hundreds of years, and the crazy ghost has countless opportunities to kill him. Why did he wait until he found him before killing Yunrong? The more Chang Ning thought about it, the more he felt his hair stand on end, and the whole room became gloomy. He stepped back a few steps, left the room, and then climbed to the location of the wind turbine on the roof and looked around. Still didn't find anything abnormal. The environment was exactly the same as the last time he came. What went wrong? However, Chang Ning did not dare to stay in the upper buildings of Yancheng for too long. He had to rush back to the 21st floor before the sun went down. After thinking about it, he decided to bury Yunrang. After all, it was not good for a transcendent awakener to be exposed in the wilderness. He first returned to Yunrang's room and then used the Skywalker #1 laser sword to separate Yunrang's flesh and blood from 4 large iron plates. I don't know whether it was because of the loss of activity or the laser sword itself was strong. The cutting process was very smooth, and Chang Ning didn't even feel any resistance. The separated flesh and blood still made Chang Ning uncomfortable. He resisted the urge to vomit and simply spliced the flesh of the limbs with Yunrang's torso. Then he mourned for a while beside Yunrang. Finally, he pulled out Skywalker #1 again, jumped onto the roof of Yunrang's room, and slashed at the roof and walls. With a roar, this street building that had existed for more than 300 years and had long been rotten collapsed in the dust, completely burying Yunrang's body. Retreating to the edge of the rooftop, Chang Ning quietly looked at the collapsed building in front of him. It was the tomb built for the extraordinary awakener Yunrang. I don't know if there are other extraordinary awakeners in this world. In Yancheng and the surrounding areas that Chang Ning has come into contact with now, the Grandmaster level awakeners are already considered the top combat power. Maybe Yunrang is the last extraordinary in this world? No, there is at least one insane ghost who should also be extraordinary. That one is called Liling, an insane ghost that has been wandering around Yancheng for hundreds of years. Wait, Liling? He thought of some connection between Liling and Yunrang. They are also terrifying existences that have surpassed the Grandmaster level. They have also survived for more than 100 years. They are also based in Yancheng. Will Liling and Yunrang have a deep connection that no one else knows? Even Yunrang's death may also be related to Liling. Maybe it is not a coincidence that Liling has been wandering in Yancheng for 100 years. After doing all this, Chang Ning looked at the military waterproof watch on his wrist. It was already 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Should I continue exploring? Chang Ning hesitated for a few minutes and walked in the direction of the last exploration. Passing by the 3rd floor room where the video recorder was found, Chang Ning finally reached the place he wanted to go last time, but never got to. The narrow gap between the 2 tall buildings of the Yancheng superstructure. From a distance, it looked like a narrow gap because the 2 tall buildings were so large and magnificent. When he actually walked over, he could see clearly that this was a wide street, at least as wide as the 8-lane road that Chang Ning had seen in the 21st century. This street, like the edge of the foundation rooftop, is also full of various shops. At a glance, Chang Ning saw several brands that already existed in the 21st century, such as a large chain supermarket, clothing store, etc. At the end of his sight, there is a tall glass tube that starts from the foundation of the Yancheng superstructure and extends to the top of the building. Is this an elevator shaft? Chang Ning suddenly realized something. This should be the elevator shaft of the old world Yancheng building, that is, the Shanghai Development Building. All the elevators above the 21st floor are this kind of sightseeing elevator with a glass shell. The elevator shaft from the 21st floor to the 91st floor has been destroyed. Now, except for 4 huge pillars, the section from the 21st floor rooftop to the upper structure is empty. But it seems that the elevator shaft above the 91st floor has not been destroyed and is still standing there. I wonder if the elevator there can still be used. If it can be used, then it will be much easier to go to the 168th floor to find Richard's room. However, due to the limitation of the 300 meter length of the rappelling rope on his body, Chang Ning should not be able to walk near the elevator shaft. Either take off the rope, take some risks, and explore. Chapter 90 Chang Ning's diary. After careful consideration, Chang Ning decided not to. As he had been in this era for longer and longer, his equipment and abilities became stronger and stronger, and Chang Ning seemed to have lost the initial caution. He reflected on it in his heart, then went to the shops on the roadside and some houses no more than 3 floors away from the upper building platform to search. There was nothing particularly noteworthy. Looking at the time, it was almost 4 o'clock, and Chang Ning decided to go back to the room where the 2 ordinary people, Shen and Xiao, who were left in the upper level of Yancheng, lived. He used a bedsheet in their closet to make a simple package and wrapped up the TV, game console and game cartridges piled up like a mountain in their living room. It's also good to experience the game culture of the 24th century. Then Chang Ning happily returned to the 21st floor along the rappelling rope. Maybe it was because he had been tense since he came to this era, and Chang Ning now felt that he needed to relax a little. He returned to his room with the huge bag on his back. Then he used his awakening ability to refresh the TV, game console, and game cartridges. Well, now there is a brand new set of entertainment equipment. Chang Ning skillfully connected the TV and the game console to the power supply, and then connected the output interface of the game console to the TV. Faced with a mountain of cartridges, which one should I start playing? Chang Ning felt that he had a decision-making difficulty attack. Forget it, I don't know which one to start playing, so I'll just pick one randomly. He closed his eyes and took out a cartridge from the mountain of cartridges. It looks like a racing game. A floating car that is speeding is printed on the cartridge. Is this a means of transportation in the 24th century? He inserted the cartridge into the game console, took out the controller, and started the game. Don't mention it, it's quite fun. It's just that there are no potato chips and ice cream, otherwise it would be perfect. When Chang Ning put down the game console controller, it was already 12 o'clock in the middle of the night. Oops. I wanted to go and see Zunlu's exploration results today, and then stare at how he educates the people of Yuncheng to study. After all, this is an autistic patient, and Chang Ning doesn't know whether it is right or wrong to choose him as a teacher. But besides myself, now in the whole area around Yuncheng, only Zunlu can read. Then I have to ask Yunchai and Su whether the people who are going to Yaosin to reclaim farmland have set out, and whether there are any things that need to be solved. In the end, I didn't accomplish anything after playing this game. However, since it has been delayed, why not play it again? Well, let's try a different game this time. The following is excerpted from Chang Ning Diary, June 23rd, playing games. June 24th, playing games. June 25th, Chang Ning, did you come to the 27th century just to play games? So many people are waiting to be taken back to the technological society of the old world by you. Look at what you are doing. June 26th, playing games. June 27th, Zunlu found the game console, and in order to prevent him from playing games, he had to agree to let him go back to Yaosin to get the computer. June 28th, playing games. June 29th, Chang Ning, do you still want to go back to the 21st century? Have you explored the superstructure of Yuncheng? June 30th, playing games. In a blink of an eye, it was already July 25th. More than 2 months had passed since Chang Ning came to this era. Chang Jiangzang, are you going to continue studying the culture of the old world today? The little maid Su Panpan, who came in with water to wash her face, still looked at Chang Ning with a look of reverence, and her eyes did not hide her boldness. Starting today, I won't study anymore. Chang Ning was a little embarrassed. The so-called studying the culture of the old world was the excuse that Chang Ning claimed to play games. During this period of time, Yunchai and Su, Yunkai and Qian, Jia Yao, Ko Jinglang and others came to Chang Ning's room many times to discuss some things with him. Seeing Chang Ning concentrating on playing games, they inevitably asked Chang Ning what he was doing. They had never seen electronic games, but seeing Chang Ning's appearance, they were all very interested. But if Chang Ning answered directly, I'm now living a dead house life, wasting time playing games every day, basically his personality would collapse. Then he would die socially. But can Chang Ning be blamed for playing games? How can people who have never played video games know the fun of playing games? So in order to cover up the fact that he had been useless for a month, Chang Ning made up a lie of researching the culture of the old world. He claimed that this game console and this pile of game cartridges were important materials for studying the culture of the old world. Later, Yunkai and Qian thought that studying the culture of the old world seemed quite interesting and wanted to participate in it. Then she was driven back by Chang Ning to eat rice. However, just the day before, Chang Ning heard news from Yaosin. I don't know if it was due to climate change or ice seeds also mutated in the doomsday disaster. The rice that had just been planted for a month and a half was already full of grains. According to the agricultural materials that Sun Lu found in Chang Ning's notebook, it was time to harvest. Chang Ning decided to go and see it himself. After all, agricultural issues are related to the survival of human beings in the end times. Only with enough food can people in the end times be fed and then restore science and technology before the end times. As for the game console, Chang Ning hardened his heart, wrapped it up in a package, and sealed it in the Shanghai City Emergency Relief Material Allocation Center on the 4th floor of Yancheng, where it was stored together with those innovative disaster relief materials. After eating and washing, Chang Ning took Yanqian and walked out of the Yancheng building for the first time in a month. Walking down from the 21st floor, he felt that Yancheng was a little different from before. First of all, there were not so many people. Before, there were always many people doing nothing. In the lobby on the 17th and 18th floors of Yancheng, they either gathered in groups of 3 or 2 to chat, or simply lay there in a daze. But now there are basically no idle people in public places in Yancheng. Then everyone's state has also changed a lot. In Yancheng now, there are almost no people with pale faces and thin bodies. Everyone looks well nourished and in a very good mental state. Most people are full of energy. Chang Ning knew that this was a good phenomenon and a sign that the whole society is on the rise. Thinking of his decadent performance last month, he couldn't help but feel a little ashamed. However, after all, I discovered many human cultural characteristics of the 24th century in those games. It was not completely wasted. At least I learned something new. Everyone I met along the way greeted Chang Ning and Yanqian with gratitude. Soon they came to the 17th floor balcony and took the diesel-powered elevator down to the 1st floor. After breathing a breath of wild air, Chang Ning also felt much more energetic. Yao Town, rice fields, here I come. Chapter 91 Doomsday Ferry. Chang Ning was a little surprised when he got down to the ground of Yancheng. He knew that the Unravels expressway had already started construction, and he thought that there would be a scene of bustling activity downstairs. Under the guidance of Sun Lu, even if there were no large and small earthen blast furnaces emitting black smoke, the wasteland people would have been smelting steel, and there would always be a bunch of construction workers moving sand and stones, right? As a result, 2 parallel winding curves were indeed drawn with lime under the buildings of Yancheng, as if the outline of the road was planned. But the whole Yancheng was quiet, not to mention the bustling construction site. Even the patrol team members, before did not see any. The Unravels expressway started from Yaosan? Chang Ning asked Yanqian casually, not expecting this little girl who only knew how to eat to answer anything. Unexpectedly, Yanqian really nodded seriously. Yes. Now it has been built to the other side of the Pujiang River. How do you know? Do you think I'm you? You just stay in your room every day. I go out often. Yanqian puffed up her mouth. Okay. Reason told Chang Ning not to argue with Yanqian. They followed the line drawn by the lime and walked forward. Having a ready-made road, even if it was not yet built, was convenient. At least they didn't have to work hard to identify the direction of Yao Town. Identify the direction? He suddenly understood why the road was built from Yao Town to Yancheng. No matter where the road connected Yancheng, it was always the easiest to identify the direction from that side to Yancheng, because in the entire Hucheng area, you could see the tall buildings of Yancheng anywhere you looked up. This planned route was not bad. There were not many ups and downs. It was basically planned on a flat surface, which would make driving much more convenient in the future. As he walked, Chang Ning suddenly discovered that the area below the 2 lime lines seemed to be a road from the old world. No wonder the terrain planning along the way was good. It turned out that people in the old world had already planned it. Following the lime line, the two walked very fast. After walking for about half an hour, Chang Ning found that the line was suddenly interrupted and replaced by piles of sand, gravel, cement and asphalt on the roadside. What is this? Chang Ning was stunned for a moment. The scene in front of him was not much different from the road construction site in the 21st century, except that there were no workers on the scene. You don't even know what this is? Young Kai and Kian looked contemptuous again. My sister spent more than 20 days working herself to death every day to get the raw materials for this road. I remember she told you before, but you didn't take it seriously. Humph. No wonder Sister Wen said that men are all pigs. Didn't Sister Wen flee? Chang Ning complained in his heart. You also used the words of a villain who ran away as a famous quote. However, he recalled carefully that Yan Xiansu did discuss this matter with him. At that time, he was playing a fighting game very seriously. He forgot what they discussed specifically after he finished. Now he heard Yan Kai and Qian's reminder and recalled some of it. It seems that Yan Xiansu said at that time that Sun Lu found a road in the old world and the general route can connect Yancheng to Yaozhen. He invited Yan Xiansu to decompose the remains of the road in the old world and explain to her clearly to what extent it should be decomposed and what raw materials will appear. So Yan Xiansu followed that road and decomposed it for more than 20 days. It seems that it has not been decomposed yet. Chang Ning sighed that it was much easier to build with the awakened. He used to think that with the current technological level, building a road would require a large number of workers to mine sand, quarry stones, process local cement, and make asphalt, and then use a lot of bulky tools to repair it bit by bit. In fact, Yan Xiansu only needed to walk along the road from beginning to end to decompose all the raw materials needed for road construction from the roadbed of the old world. And he probably thought that turning the raw materials into roads again would not require hundreds of workers to work overtime, and only Hu and Dong would need to follow Yan Xiansu. After walking for more than 10 minutes, they came to the edge of the Pujiang River along the route, filled with various road building materials. A boat had already been parked on the shore, and a few brand new large characters were painted on it. The paint marks had obviously not dried for a long time. Unio fast ferry. Puff. Chang Ning almost choked on his saliva. Needless to say, these words should have been written by Sun Lu. There is a Pujiang River in the middle of the road from Yancheng to Yaozhen. With the ability of Yan Xiansu and Huandang, it is obvious that they cannot build the Pujiang Bridge in the old world. So they got a fishing boat that Chang Ning had refreshed before to serve as a ferry. It is also a good solution. The few people on the ferry should be members of the previous fishing team. They all knew Chang Ning and Yan Kai and Qian. When they saw them coming, they immediately smiled and greeted them, and then ferried them across the Pujiang River. The whole process was much faster than Chang Ning and Zhaoda's previous boat. However, the people on the ferry also told Chang Ning that this ferry would stop when the sun was about to set, and there would definitely be no ferry at night. It seems that the evil beasts in the water are really a headache. After getting off the ferry, looking up and forward, about a few dozen meters away, in front of Chang Ning, there was a wide asphalt road. The entire road is about 10 meters wide, abruptly inserted into this primitive dense forest, becoming an extremely discordant and beautiful scenery in the forest in this end of the world environment. At the end of the road, there was a familiar figure slumped. Young Kai and Qian ran over and kicked Huandang on the butt. Are you being lazy again? Huandang stood up with a tired face and said with a wry smile, I have used up all my star power today. I can only repair the road to the river tomorrow. Let me rest for a while. Young Kai and Qian snorted. You eat a lot and you are grumbling when you work. Chang Ning also walked over and smiled at Huandang. Thank you for your hard work. Huandang hurriedly half bowed. It's not hard, it's all my responsibility. Chang Jiangzang. Look, how is this road being repaired? Is it different from what you expected? Chang Ning looked up. Except for the lack of traffic markings, this road was not obviously different from the asphalt road in the 21st century. He praised Huandang. It's good, keep it up. Huandang was flattered. Thank you Chang Jiangzang for the compliment. After greeting Huandang, the two continued to set off towards Yao town along the already built road. The journey was much faster. In less than an hour, the two saw the wall of Yao town. It took only about 2 hours to walk all the way here. You know, when Chang Ning followed Zhaoda and others to Yancheng to pay taxes, they set out from Yao town early in the morning, but arrived in Yancheng very late in the afternoon. After the construction of this expressway, even if there are no mechanical means of transportation, it is much faster to walk on human legs. Not to mention that a large amount of supplies can be transported by various rickshaws. Once cars appear in the future, the transportation speed and quantity will increase dramatically. Chang Ning seemed to see the first ray of light of the revival of civilization in the end times. Before the two arrived at the gate of Yao town, Xiao dad and sister Zhu came out with a group of people to greet them. "Chang Ning, we've been waiting for you, come quickly," Xiao dad shouted from a distance. Chapter 92, The Bear and the Leopard Return. "Here we are." Chang Ning also responded from afar. He could feel the excitement of the crowd in the distance. The rice that had been planted for nearly 2 months was finally going to be harvested today. In the old world, farmers would celebrate whenever the fields had a good harvest. Not to mention this doomsday wasteland, where the future is uncertain. Once it is proven that rice planting is feasible, the people of the entire Yaosin can rely on rice planting to obtain food continuously, and will never be troubled by hunger again. Chang Ning and Yan Qian quickly walked to the gate of Yaosin. In the crowd, in addition to the people of Yaosin, there were also some faces from Yancheng. Jia Yao, Ko Jinglang and others were here. It seemed that they sent their own team members to work. Standing at the gate of the Yaosin wall, Chang Ning looked around. Large tracts of farmland had been reclaimed outside the wall. In the farther place, there were still people working there. The whole Yaosin was thriving. Surrounded by the crowd, Chang Ning came to the inside of the Yaosin wall, next to the first reclaimed field. The rice in the field was golden, and the heavy ears of rice made the rice bend over. A scene of a good harvest. Here, Sister Zhu picked up a sickle and handed it to Chang Ning, who took it with a smile. Then he walked to the bottom of the paddy field, bent down to cut a handful of rice, and then put it in the field. "Like me, harvest quickly and throw it on the ground. After all the rice in the field is harvested, bundle it up, and move it to the square for threshing." He stood up, explained to the people around him, and then asked Sister Zhu, "Is the thresher ready?" Sister Zhu nodded. "The Zunlu has been made, and is placed in the square." "Well, let's start harvesting." Chang Ning went to the fields with the people from Yaosin and Yancheng to harvest the rice. There were only 8 acres of land in total, and they had enough manpower. It didn't take long to harvest all of it. Then someone carried the rice bundles to the square for threshing, and Chang Ning returned to his big villa in Yaosin with Yan Qian. Chang Ning missed this place very much after not coming back for many days. He collapsed on the sofa and missed the game console again. This sofa should go well with that game console. During his time in Yancheng, Zunlu returned to Yaosin many times. Now the water tower in Yaosin has been built, and Chang Ning's villa has running water. There were solar generators and batteries in the villa before, so now the whole villa has water and electricity. If it can be connected to the internet, it will be perfect. Chang Ning leaned on the sofa and thought. The construction of the entire Yancheng has been put on track, and the Unravels Expressway is being built in an orderly manner. It is estimated that it will not take long before the entire line will be connected. The agricultural base on the Yaosin side is also taking shape. Then Yancheng is still short of an industrial base. Where is it better to build it? It seems that in the next few days, I need to look around and observe. When I was in a trance, there was a noisy sound outside. Chang Ning stood up and walked to the door. He saw the huge figure of Xiao Bao running in from the gate of Yaosin, asking for directions, while running towards his villa. This guy has been gone for a month and finally came back. Chang Ning almost thought that he had taken the opportunity to escape. After all, he was an independent relic hunter and did not belong to Yancheng. And Chang Ning and Yan Qian had robbed him several times. Even if he took the opportunity to run away, it was normal. Now it seems that he was just as he thought. After being trapped in the material allocation center of Yancheng for many days, he was rescued by Chang Ning and Yan Qian. The mental stimulation brought by the extreme darkness and silence. Once rescued, he subconsciously regarded Chang Ning and Yan Qian as his own. I saw that Xiao Bao walked very quickly. Although the frequency of his legs did not seem fast, his moving speed was somewhat amazing. After a few takeoffs and landings, he almost floated to the door of Chang Ning's villa. Seeing Xiao Bao was a little out of breath, Chang Ning smiled at him, led him into the house, asked him to sit on the sofa, and then poured him a glass of water. Drink some water first, don't be in a hurry, take a breath first. Xiao Bao nodded, gulped down a large glass of water, wiped his stubble-covered mouth, took a long breath, and then spoke. I have been to 17 big cities and 42 small towns during this period. So many. Chang Ning was a little surprised. He originally thought that Xiao Bao had only been to Yangcheng, Lincheng, Jinlingcheng and Qiantangcheng, but he didn't expect him to go to so many cities. As for Yangcheng and Lincheng, Chang Ning couldn't remember where they were located, but he still had an impression of Jinlingcheng and Qiantangcheng, and he roughly knew their locations and distances. Tell me, where else have you been besides the 4 cities we talked about at the beginning? Chang Ning was very interested. In addition to Yangcheng and Lincheng in the north, I also went north to Taicheng and Yancheng, and then turned back to the southwest to Jinling City. Then I went south to Hacheng, then to Qiantang City, and then went south to pass through Zucheng, Yicheng and other places, and finally came to Wencheng. Later, I went north along the coast from Wencheng, passed through some towns such as Zhenhe City, and finally returned to Yancheng. Chang Ning was silent. Did Xiao Bao take an in-depth tour of Jiangsu, Zhejiang and Shanghai in this month? The Wencheng he mentioned should be the Wen city in the old world, right? It's almost to Fujian province. Thank you for your hard work. How did you gain after running such a big circle? Chang Ning continued. Most people don't comment on what you said, but those who are close to you like Lincheng and Yangcheng agree with you. Chang Ning thought about it, and it was true. Lincheng and Yangcheng were close enough to Yancheng, and Yancheng could supply them with any supplies. But other human gathering points that are far away are like 2 worlds with Yancheng in this end times. Want to cooperate? Sorry, I haven't heard of you. However, I got an important piece of news this time. Xiao Bao looked mysterious. What news? Chang Ning was also curious when he saw his appearance. I heard that a Lost Heart Ghost King appeared a few hundred miles south of Wencheng. Lost Heart Ghost King? What is that? Chang Ning had heard of Lost Heart Ghosts, but what was a Lost Heart Ghost King? It is a very powerful Lost Heart Ghost. Not only is it powerful, but the most terrifying thing is that there are thousands of Lost Heart Ghosts gathered around it. It seems that it can command those Lost Heart Ghosts to attack human towns together. I heard from people in Wencheng that thousands of Lost Heart Ghosts have started from the south and killed all the way north along the coastline. They attack any human towns they see along the way and eat any living people they see. It is said that they are less than 100 miles away from Wencheng. Chang Ning opened his mouth wide, a little stunned. It sounds like a group of Lost Heart Ghosts from Guangdong province are heading north along the coast, eating people from Fujian province along the way. Cantonese people eat Fujian people. This 21st century stalk suddenly popped up in Chang Ning's mind. However, it was soon replaced by worry. Thousands of Lost Heart Ghosts are not easy to deal with. Each Lost Heart Ghost has its own awakening ability, which is equivalent to the combat power of thousands of awakened people. They are heading north along the coast and attacking human strongholds. So, if they continue to move forward, they will definitely pass by Yancheng. Chapter 93 Gathering Hundreds of Awakeners. Xiao Bao brought a very important message. If there were no group of Lost Heart Ghosts in the south, there would only be a small number of Lost Heart Ghosts and some evil beasts in the current environment around Shanghai City. After the surrounding settlements united, the power of mankind was greater than these external unstable factors. Therefore, Chang Ning could work with the human leaders of the surrounding towns to integrate the awakened ones and distribute weapons with more powerful firepower to ordinary people who had not awakened to ensure the safety of the surrounding areas. After safety is no longer a problem, we can devote all our efforts to construction. But now there are a group of Lost Heart Ghosts in the south with a number of more than 1,000. It is obvious that the environmental safety around Shanghai City has been in trouble. If we still develop farming as planned, then after some time, when the Lost Heart Ghost army arrives in Shanghai City, it is likely that all humans here will be wiped out. There are more than 200 people in Xiao town, and only Zhen Yang is an awakened one. Later, Xiao Da became an awakened one after implanting the Force Core. There are nearly 2,000 people in Yancheng, and there are only more than 20 awakened ones. According to this ratio, the probability of awakened people appearing is about 1 in 100. Chang Ning estimated that the total population of the entire Hucheng area of the old world is less than 10,000, so the total number of awakened people should not exceed 100. Facing a total of more than 1,000 lost heart ghosts, you don't need to think about it to know what the outcome will be. Unless you can find the gunpowder depot of the old world army now, arm all ordinary people, and conduct a long period of military training. Otherwise, there is no chance of winning. So what should we do now? There are only two ways to take, either fight or escape. If you escape, you will move all the people in the Hucheng area, including Yunqing and all the surrounding towns, away from the action route of the lost heart ghosts. But this is difficult. First of all, Chang Ning and his team don't know the specific attack route of the lost heart ghosts. After all, there are no satellites in this era. If you rely on human scouts, the risk factor is too high. And people can leave. What about supplies? Not to mention the belongings that people have accumulated for 300 years after the end of the world. Even the huge warehouse newly discovered in Yunqing, are the things in it going to be abandoned? And the farmland that has just been opened up in Yaosun, are they going to be abandoned again? Even if they escape, who knows if the crazy ghosts will suddenly change their routes? With so many crazy ghosts wandering around the nearby area, it would be dangerous to settle down anywhere, right? So running away is not a good idea, but if we fight, we can't win. It's really a dead end. Relying only on the humans in the Shanghai area, they will almost certainly fail. Perhaps, we can only move the settlements farther away in advance, and gather more people's strength to have a chance of winning. Xiao Bao, you need to go to Wencheng again. Thinking of this, Chang Ning said to Xiao Bao, go again. What for? They clearly don't want to cooperate with us. Xiao Bao waved his furry big hand and said unhappily, our previous strategy was to share resources and develop together. But Wencheng is too far away from us, and it is difficult to share resources at this stage. However, if they face the attack of the Lost Heart Ghost Army, they should have a basis for cooperation with us, right? Most of the human towns south of Wencheng have been captured, and Wencheng is unlikely to withstand the attack of the Lost Heart Ghost. Instead of falling, they might as well escape in advance, and they can choose a side as the direction of escape. The group of thousands of Lost Heart Ghosts cannot be resisted by Yunqing or Wencheng, but by uniting the residents of all the surrounding cities, there is probably hope of victory. The reason why they are gathered in Yunqing is because we have the huge warehouse that trapped you last time. The food reserves in it are enough for people in dozens of towns to use together. Wencheng is now the closest to the Lost Heart Ghost Army. You should go there quickly, and they should listen to our advice. If they decide to come to Yunqing to fight with us, let them only bring enough food and supplies for the road. After arriving in Yunqing, we will be responsible for all their food and weapon supplies. Xiao Bao thought for a moment and sighed. Okay. I've just been running outside for more than a month, and I was thinking I could take a few days off. Who knew I'd have to leave right after I came back? Chang Ning apologized. Thank you for your hard work, but the situation is urgent, so I still have to communicate with them as soon as possible. Xiao Bao nodded. Then I'll leave now. Chang Ning stopped him again. After notifying Wencheng, you go all the way north and run to all the human cities and towns you can reach, and use the same words to get them to join us. Xiao Bao agreed, and then ran quickly towards the gate of Yaosun. You can take some food when you pass by Yunqing, such as compressed biscuits and canned food, and take some to eat on the way. Chang Ning shouted from a distance behind him. Xiao Bao waved his hand and walked away without looking back. After sending Xiao Bao away, Chang Ning thought about it. Not only the towns in the south should be won over, but the towns in the west and north can also be won over in the same way in the name of resisting the Lost Ghost Army. Maybe his plan to unite all the human forces around him that can be united can be realized ahead of time. In this case, the emergence of the Lost Heart Ghost Army may not be a bad thing. However, this is both an opportunity and a challenge. If the gathering of many human towns still cannot resist the Lost Heart Ghost Army, then the apocalyptic wasteland society in the entire southeast region will face collapse. There are less than 10,000 people in the area around Yunqing. According to the proportion, in a wider area, such as Jiangsu, Zhejiang and Shanghai in the old world, the number of humans that can be contacted and invited before the Lost Heart Ghost Army arrives is estimated to be less than 100,000. Of course, with the current strength of Yancheng, it is impossible to run through all the human gathering points in this area, and many small towns may not be contacted at all. But if we only count the big cities and towns that are easy to contact, there is still some possibility of 40,000 to 50,000 people. There may be 400 to 500 awakened people in 40,000 to 500,000 people. If some ordinary people are equipped with enough police firepower and sophisticated weapons, they should still be able to resist thousands of lost heart ghosts. In fact, they can only resist with gritted teeth. Otherwise, no one will live in a safe environment anymore. Now Xiang Bao has set off south to Wencheng for negotiations. At his speed, there should be no danger. Then the task of negotiating to the north and west has to be completed by myself. Well, I can't do this alone. I have to gather people in Yancheng to do it together. Now Jai Yao and Ko Jinglang have arranged their respective team members to participate in farmland construction, so they should be free. Yan Xiansu's road decomposition work is almost completed, and after discovering the huge material warehouse, the daily work of decomposing diesel is no longer necessary. These people should be able to act separately with me. Go and ask if there are any other awakened people in Yancheng who are suitable for running away, and call them together. Yes, let's do it. He jumped up and said to Yan Kai and Qian, get up. We are going back to Yancheng. Ah, going back so soon? Wasn't the rice just harvested? You don't even want to eat a bowl of fresh rice before leaving? Yan Kai and Qian stared at Chang Ning with innocent big eyes. Chapter 94 The ending of Shen and Xiao Hui. Chang Ning slapped Yan Kai and Qian on the head. You only care about eating. The rice has just been harvested, and it needs to be threshed and dried. There is still a lot of work to do. How can we eat fresh rice today? Yan Kai and Qian pouted and covered her head. If you don't tell me, I don't know. I'm just a child. Besides, just wait here for a few more days. Isn't this house uncomfortable to live in? Chang Ning looked at the big sofa in the house and thought that he would get a similar velvet sofa for Yancheng's house in the future. Otherwise the hardwood sofa in that room would make life at home really boring. However, he still said to Yan Kai and Qian firmly, it's really not possible. Didn't you hear what Xiang Bao said just now? Thousands of insane ghosts are about to sweep over. We have to be prepared before the insane ghosts arrive. Yan Kai and Qian snorted. Who knows whether what that guy said is true or false? Chang Ning grabbed her ears. Let's go. Whether it's true or false, this kind of important news must be treated as true. Otherwise, if the insane ghosts come, we haven't prepared anything yet, then we are waiting to die. Yan Kai and Qian had no choice but to stand up from the big sofa where she had just lain down, followed Chang Ning, and walked out of the villa. Chang Ning went to find Zun Yang, Zhao Da, and Sister Zhu again, and told them the information that Xiang Bao had just brought back. It was agreed that both parties would send at least one group of people to exchange information every day and keep in close contact. Then he took Yan Kai and Qian back to Yancheng along the Yunniao Expressway. When they arrived in Yancheng, it was just dusk. On the way, Chang Ning discovered that Yan Xiansu had to decompose a long way. According to the current progress, in about 2 days, the construction materials will be laid under Yancheng. At that time, Yan Xiansu's work will come to an end. Taking the diesel-powered elevator to the 17th floor, it was just in time for dinner in Yancheng. Now the entire Yancheng provides 3 meals a day, no longer the standard 2-meal system. Breakfast and dinner can be eaten in the 17th floor cafeteria. If you go out to work during the day, you can also get lunch rice bowls after breakfast to take with you. The 17th floor also gradually changed from an indissoluble fishy smell to a strong smell of old mold. Of course, the smell was not very pleasant, but Chang Ning still wrinkled his nose and passed quickly. He hoped that in the near future, the 17th floor of Yancheng would become a real rice smell, just like the university cafeteria he had seen in the 21st century. Pulling Yan Kai and Qian, who was staring at the food area on the 17th floor, he quickly went up 4 floors and came to Yan Xiansu's room on the 21st floor. At the door, he was stopped by Yun Xian's little maid and was told that the city lord was taking a bath. Chang Ning curled his lips. It seems that, although the barriers between men and women in this era are not as great as those in the 21st century, there are still some situations that cannot be casually entered. Just then, Chang Ning's exclusive little maid Su Panpan walked through the corridor. Chang Ning grabbed her and told her to wait here. Once Yun Xianzu finished his bath, he would go to the room to call him. The little girl, who was originally excited to go to the cafeteria to get food, pouted and agreed. She and Yun Xianzu's little maid squatted at the door of Yun Xianzu's room boredly, drawing circles on the ground. It seems necessary to make some simple chess and card games for bored people. This should also be a hard demand in this era. Chang Ning complained in his heart. He returned to his room, lay on the bed, and his eyes fell on the big TV in the room. Then he habitually moved his eyes down, but did not see the game console he had brought back. Oh, I put it away by myself and can't play it anymore. Being addicted to video games is harmful to young people. He wandered around the room boredly again, and the camera on the table caught Chang Ning's eyes. I was busy playing games for the past month, and I haven't watched the follow-up of Shen and Xiao yet. While I have time now, I'll finish watching the rest of the videos. Chang Ning remembered that the last video he saw was a handful of dog food. In the video, Shen and Xiao, two young boys and girls, have fallen in love, and they spent Xiao's 16th birthday together very sweetly. From that video, it seems that Shen and Xiao are doing well. Although they have lost contact with the lower level of Yuncheng, the upper structure of Yuncheng is so large that it still retains countless resources. Not to mention that there are only 2 of them. Even if there are only 200 people, they can survive by eating the resources left by the old world, right? Later, the 2 died in their beds at home, and it didn't look like they died of old age. Shen stuck a gun in his mouth, smashed his own head, and ended his life. What happened later? Now there is a big TV. He connected the VCR to the TV, projected the files on the VCR onto the TV, and then turned on the VCR. Find the unwatched video and click it to open it. Still a mouthful of dog food. As expected, this video was shot on Xiao's 17th birthday, and the scene was still in their house. Xiao in this video has become more and more beautiful, and Shen also looks like a little adult. They wore well-fitting clothes and had a candlelight dinner together in a living room that looked much warmer than a year ago. Next are the videos of Xiao when she was 18, Xiao when she was 19, until she was 21. They were all shot by Shen and Xiao on her birthday. They are very warm and commemorative, and are very suitable for watching when you are old, when everything seemed to be going in a good direction. The next video was not shot a year after the previous video, but 3 months after the previous video. Chang Ning felt something was wrong. Clicking on this video, Chang Ning sat on the sofa and watched it carefully. At the beginning of the video, the screen was pitch black, and then a dim light suddenly appeared in the darkness, which looked like the light of a flashlight. Is this night? Shen and Xiao's videos had never been shot at night before. Chang Ning had never seen the superstructure of Yuncheng at night. This video happened to allow Chang Ning to know more about the superstructure of Yuncheng. There was a heavy gasp in the video, and it sounded like a man, probably Shen. Did you see it? Shen asked in a low voice. No. A female voice answered next to him. It was Xiao's voice, as thin as a mosquito. Damn it. I put the camera here, hoping to take a picture of its appearance. Let's go. Let's go to the police station downstairs to hide. Then there was the sound of running, and the 2 people gradually ran away. Where did they put the camera? As the 2 people ran away, the light of the flashlight also disappeared. Now the camera screen is dark. Where is this? What are they hiding from? When Chang Ning was wondering, a pale face suddenly appeared on the dark screen, and Chang Ning jumped off the sofa in fright. Chapter 95. The Conjecture of the Lost Ghost. A pale face without a trace of blood appeared on the TV screen. Its facial features were blurred. It looked like a person, but it was definitely not a person. At a very close distance, a big face was pressed against the TV screen, which made the effect of a horror movie full and scared Chang Ning so much that he jumped up from the sofa. Bang! There was a sound at the door, and Chang Ning hurriedly took out the Desert Eagle and Skywalker 1 lightsaber from his arms. Turning around, he saw that it was Chang Ning's little maid Supanpan who came back. Chang Jiangzang, the city lord said that you can go over. Supanpan was in a hurry and turned around and ran away after speaking, as if she was afraid that the food in the cafeteria would be gone if she was late. Chang Ning breathed a sigh of relief, put the pistol and laser sword back, and quickly took the remote control to turn off the TV. Sometimes too good a display effect will give people a bad feeling. Let's go find Yan Xianzu first. Walking out of the room, Chang Ning recalled the face he saw on the TV just now, and the face he saw in the surveillance of the laboratory. They look very similar, except that the face on TV had black eyes. Chang Ning remembered that the face seen in the laboratory had bloodshot eyes. Chang Ning knew that what he saw in the laboratory was the super insanity ghost Li Ling who had been wandering around Yancheng for more than 100 years. And the one on TV just now, was it also it? If that was also Li Ling, then it would be fun. Shen and Xiao survived the doomsday disaster. The video just now was only about 10 years away from the doomsday disaster, and it was nearly 300 years away from the present time. Chang Ning knew that as a human extraordinary awakener, Yan Rong had survived for at least 150 years, and it was possible that he was close to 200 years old. If Li Ling appeared shortly after the doomsday disaster, wouldn't it be nearly 300 years old now? Is the lifespan of the insanity ghost particularly long, or is the recovery ability of the insanity ghost particularly strong? Or is it just that the power of Li Ling, the insanity ghost itself, is too strong, so that time cannot kill it? No matter which aspect of the reason, it is not a good thing for Chang Ning and Yancheng. Of course, there is another possibility that this insane ghost is not a Li Ling at all, but just one that looks very similar to Li Ling. After all, they are not similar in every way, at least the pupil color is different. Chang Ning himself has only seen a few insane ghosts, and he has not done much research on the appearance of insane ghosts, so it is not surprising that he made a mistake. I hope I made a mistake. Chang Ning walked to Yan Xianzu's room and pushed the door open. I saw Yan Xianzu wearing her silk nightgown and blowing her hair in the living room. Chang Ning found a lot of small household appliances, including hair dryers, from the scavenging team that searched for decomposition materials for Yan Xianzu and Yancheng. He has repaired several hair dryers and gave them to Yan Xianzu, Yan Qian, Jia Yao and other girls with long hair. Not to mention, although this kind of small household appliance is inconspicuous, it is the key to improving the quality of life. With them, the happiness index of most people on the 21st floor of Yancheng has improved a lot. Seeing Chang Ning come in, Yan Xianzu asked him to sit on the chair in the living room. After Chang Ning sat down, she asked, "Are you almost done with the decomposition work of the unravels fast track? How many days will it take to finish it?" The hairdryer was buzzing, and Yan Xianzu, who was blowing her hair, didn't hear what Chang Ning said clearly. Forget it, it's not urgent anyway, wait until she finishes. So Chang Ning simply waved to her, folded her arms, and sat on the chair waiting. Yan Xianzu smiled at him embarrassedly, and then continued to blow her hair. Although she lives on the doomsday wasteland, the quantity and quality of her hair are first class, better than many girls in the 21st century that Chang Ning has seen. I don't know how she maintains it. When Chang Ning was in the 21st century, he heard many friends talk about the troubles of hair loss. After a long time, Yan Xianzu finished blowing her hair, but it was still not completely dry. It was draped behind her back with a little moisture, which was a different beauty from usual. She moved her chair and sat next to Chang Ning, and Chang Ning immediately asked about the fragrance of shampoo. Is this the inventory in the huge warehouse on the 4th floor? Shampoo is a magical thing. After 300 years, it can still emit such a fragrance. Yan Xianzu had just blow dried her hair. Her face was red and there seemed to be a layer of mist in her eyes. She raised her head and opened her lips and asked, "What did you say to me just now?" "Oh, I want to ask you, are you almost done with the decomposition work of the Unravels Expressway?" How many days will it take to complete it? Almost. It will be almost done in 2 or 3 days. Why? Are you in a hurry? Is there any bulk cargo to transport? Yan Xianzu has walked the road from Yancheng to Yaosan many times, and she has also been to Yaosan many times. She has also seen the 2-wheeled large carts and 1-wheeled carts in Yaosan. She knows that these transportation tools can transport a large amount of cargo with a small number of people, but the requirements for the road surface are relatively high. In the natural jungle around Yancheng, there are almost no paths for these transportation vehicles to pass through. No, it's not about transportation, it's something else. Chang Ning shook his head. It's not about transportation? Yan Xianzu smiled. By the way, if you don't come to me, I want to find you for something. What is it? You and Zunlu made it in Yaosan, the one called running water. Why don't you make one in Yancheng? Yan Xianzu probably visited Chang Ning's big villa in Yaosan and found the running water inside. No matter what era or environment, girls actually like to keep clean and fragrant. If Yancheng can also have running water, it will be much more convenient for Yan Xianzu to bathe and wash her hair in the future. Chang Ning thought about it. The running water in Yaosan Villa is actually pumped through the water tower. When the villa itself was built, it had a 3-way pipe inside, which can be directly connected to the internal water pipeline. In Yancheng, a water tower can be built on the 21st floor rooftop, which is not a particularly troublesome thing. But the water pipe is a bit troublesome. The 3-way pipe inside the Yancheng building is probably old and damaged. After all, 300 years have passed. At that time, most of the 3-way pipes were hidden in the wall, and it was not easy to repair them. If you insist on installing running water, you may have to pull new pipes from the outside and then introduce them into the room through the window, which is also a feasible method. It's just that it may not be as good as the pipes hidden in the wall in terms of aesthetics. But it's better to have one than not. He nodded. No problem. I'll discuss it with Zunlu later and get one for Yancheng. But I didn't come to you today to chat. I have something important to talk to you about. Seeing Chang Ning's serious expression, Yan Xianzu couldn't help but sit up straight and look at him intently. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96 Population Recruitment Plan. Chang Ning told Yan Xianzu the news brought by Xiang Bao and his own analysis in detail. Yan Xianzu was very shocked. In her concept, the insane ghosts were lone rangers in the dark night. They would never gather together to form a group, let alone thousands of them gathered together to obey the command of a high-level insane ghost. But Xiang Bao had no reason to deceive Chang Ning. The people of Wencheng had no reason to deceive Xiang Bao either, so they could only temporarily assume that this was reliable news. Yan Xianzu opened her mouth into an O shape again, as if trying to digest the meaning. Thousands of insane ghosts gathered and were constantly moving. Their route was to the north along the coastline. Their goal was to destroy human towns. In that case, it seemed that Yancheng would definitely be affected. After figuring this out, she raised her head and looked at Chang Ning worriedly. Chang Ning nodded slightly. Yes, it is estimated that in the near future, the group of crazy ghosts is likely to pass by Yancheng. At that time, if thousands of crazy ghosts attack Yancheng, we will definitely not be able to defend it. What should we do? We can only carry out our plan in advance, contact all the towns that can be contacted around, and invite all of them to live in Yancheng. We can't stop the crazy ghosts alone, so we can only concentrate more strength. Yan Xianzu agreed. Okay. There are still many empty residences in Yancheng now. In fact, if they are used reasonably, one floor can be filled with all the current people in Yancheng. We have 4 floors, and it will be no problem to have 3 times the population. Chang Ning thought about it and replied, the more people we can bring, the better. I estimate that, if we can visit all the cities within 10 days journey, we should be able to attract 50,000 to 60,000 people. In this case, it will be a bit crowded to live in Yancheng. We must find some places to live outside. Yanshai and Su said helplessly, but now all the places that can be lit outside are already occupied. Speaking of this, her eyes suddenly lit up and looked at Chang Ning. Chang Ning smiled and said, that's right. I'm an awakener from the Department of Architecture. We also have Huandong and a few other people, and we can all build new houses. Yanshai and Su nodded. Then the housing problem is solved. As for food, there are still a lot of things in our warehouse. Even if 50,000 or 60,000 people eat together, they can eat for a long time. Chang Ning agreed. Yes. Gathering these people, we can fully prepare for war and no longer need to worry about survival. The reason why our human distribution area was so wide and the population density was so sparse before was because our main source of food was hunting. If more people live in the same area, the food will become much less, not enough to feed everyone. So we can only maintain a long distance and never interact with each other. The residences left in the old world gradually collapsed and broke down because there were no humans living in and repairing them, and they could not accommodate many people. Now we have a huge warehouse in Yansheng, and with the weapon of agriculture, we can supply a denser population. The activity range of Yansheng with 2,000 people before can now accommodate 30,000 to 50,000 people. There is no problem. Chang Jiangzong is absolutely right. Yanshai and Su said excitedly. As the Lord of Yansheng, it would certainly be good for her if Yansheng absorbed more people and maintained a higher population density. I have sent Xiang Bao to Wencheng in the south to negotiate. Now the cities in the north and west need us to talk. The sooner the better, so that we can win over more people and make adequate preparations. How many people in Yansheng are suitable for envoys to negotiate? Chang Ning asked. Emissaries? Yanshai and Su tilted her head and thought for a while. The people in Uncle Wu's intelligence agency had experience as envoys before, but they didn't seem to be very friendly every time they negotiated. Chang Ning remembered the scene of several black-robed men going to Yaosin to collect taxes, and remembered that a black-robed dwarf tried to sneak attack him in the wild, but was killed by him. He shook his head. Those people were obviously acting like spies and there was no way to communicate properly. No, these people are not good enough. What about the others? As for the others, then it's only the people we have now. Huang Kan definitely can't go out. He has to maintain the law and order in Yansheng and keep the life here in order. Jia Yao and Ko Jinglang are okay, plus 3 or 4 good guys from the original police station and the Internal Affairs Bureau, a total of 6 or 7 people, who can all act as messengers to contact the surrounding cities. Chang Ning nodded. Okay. Let's gather these people tomorrow and hold a small meeting together. First, share the intelligence of the surrounding settlements, and then assign tasks. Everyone will go out together and try to gather more people for Yansheng in the shortest time. No problem. Yanshai and Su responded. Then I won't delay your rest. It's late. Go to bed early. You've been working hard these days to decompose the materials for the Unravels expressway. Yanshai and Su blushed. It's nothing. Anyway, I have to use up my star power every day to decompose diesel and so on. It's just that I've changed to a different thing now. Besides, walking along the planned road is much more interesting than decomposing diesel. Chang Ning smiled and said, that's good. I'll go back first, good night. After saying that, he got up and walked out of Yanshai and Su's room, closing the door. Yanshai and Su stared blankly in the room at the direction where Chang Ning left and didn't know what he was thinking. After coming out of Yanshai and Su's room, Chang Ning recalled the video footage just now. Although he hadn't seen many insane ghosts, Chang Ning knew that insane ghosts were all human beings before they mutated. So, theoretically speaking, the appearance of each insane ghost is also different. And the insane ghost in the video, except for the color of the pupils, is exactly the same as Li Ling. Are there really people or ghosts that look so similar? Or, what kind of relatives does the insane ghost have with the current Li Ling? That's not right, insane ghosts don't seem to be able to reproduce on their own. They are all mutated from humans. I can't figure it out. He paced back to his room, and the little maid Su Panpun was humming a little tune while making the bed for Chang Ning. She looked full and not in a hurry. Chang Ning listened carefully, and the tune she hummed was actually the theme song of a martial arts game that he often played last month. It seems that she has been around him a lot while he was playing games. However, although this song is okay, it is just okay. Compared with some popular golden songs that Chang Ning often listened to in the 21st century, it is still far behind. Thinking of this, it seems that there are some downloaded songs in his computer, and the people of the Yunsheng scavenging team often bring back some broken small speakers from the old world. Can I copy some of Jay Chou's songs and have fun when I have nothing to do? Chang Jiang Zhang, the bed is made. Su Panpan saw Chang Ning coming back, smiled and turned back to greet him. Chang Ning nodded. Thank you for your hard work. You should also go to bed early. Su Panpan made a face and walked out of Chang Ning's room. Seeing the little maid walk out of the room, Chang Ning took a deep breath and decided to finish watching the video he had just watched halfway to see what that pale face was. Chapter 97 Xiao Hui's death. Chang Ning opened the video again. Although he had seen it once before and was mentally prepared, he was still frightened. Now he understood why the insane ghost was called the insane ghost. It really looked like a ghost, and people would instinctively feel fear from the depths of their hearts when they saw it. He calmed down and looked carefully. The pale face with blurred features stared at the camera lens for a while, as if wondering what it was. Then, it raised its hand covered with short brown hair and poked the camera with its finger. The lens shook violently, and then there was a crisp snap sound, which sounded like the camera fell to the ground. The lens also flipped violently and faced the ceiling. At this time, you can see that there are walls on both sides of the lens, and there is nothing on the other side, like a corridor. This is not Shen and Xiao Hui's home. Chang Ning has never been there and doesn't know where it is. The insane ghost took 2 more steps and came to the camera on the ground. He squatted down and looked at it for a few minutes, then stood up and ran away quickly. The video clips were quite long, and it looked like they were on until the recorder ran out of battery. Chang Ning dragged the video clips back and didn't find any other clues. The camera remained blank. In the end, only 2 videos were left. They were shot a week later. The 2 videos were shot very close to each other, as if they were shot continuously. Chang Ning clicked on the first video first. This time, the shooting location returned to Shen and Xiao Hui's home. Xiao Hui appeared in the video. Her condition was obviously not as good as before. There were some dirty marks in the room, on her clothes, and on her body. It seemed that she hadn't taken care of it for a while. She looked haggard and pale, and it was obvious that she had health problems. Shen didn't shoot with her? Chang Ning had a question in his mind. The previous videos were all dominated by Shen, and suddenly only Xiao Hui appeared, which made Chang Ning a little confused. Chen, when you see this video, I'm gone. In the picture, Xiao Hui's pale face tried to force a smile and whispered softly to the camera. Gone. Why does this sound so much like a suicide note? Don't try to find me, I will find a quiet place to die. I know this is cruel to you, but there is no other way, right? In my current state, instead of continuing to struggle in pain for a while, it is better to understand it now. From now on, you must be good in this world alone. Know to eat when you are hungry and wash your clothes when they are dirty. Also, don't be addicted to playing games all day long. Exercise more. In this world, if you are not healthy, there will always be danger. Xiao Hui continued to talk, her eyes drifting to the ceiling, as if recalling something. After I leave, you should reconcile with Yunji. I haven't even met him a few times, so you two shouldn't be considered rivals in love, right? At most, you are just imaginary enemies. Now that I'm gone, any grudges you have should also disappear, right? You can get back in touch with him. He has talked about the Gale Awakeners before. I think he should be able to do it. Then, you can go down and live with them. You still have a long life ahead of you, and you can't live it alone all the time. I miss you so much. I'm starting to miss you now, and I feel so bad when I think about having to rot alone in a place in the future. As she spoke, tears flowed from the corners of her eyes, and then she reached out to wipe them, forcing out a smile again. But it's okay. Everyone will have this day, but mine came earlier. I'm sorry that I couldn't fulfill my promise to you and couldn't accompany you when you were old and grey. But you can definitely feel my longing for you. No matter where I am or what state I'm in, my longing for you will not change. The next video is recorded for Yunji. Can you please pass the recorder to him as before and show it to him? Okay. Xiao tried to make the happiest expression, then ran over and hurriedly turned off the recorder. Xiao is going to die. Is it related to the crazy ghost they met in the last video? But they are all ordinary people. Even if the crazy ghost is not Liling, it is completely beyond the ability of the two of them to deal with. If they were attacked by the crazy ghost, it is likely that both of them would die on the spot, right? How could it be that only Xiao was injured and died after a long time, while Shen was fine? Chang Ning clicked on the last video again. The scene did not change at all. It seemed that Xiao clicked on the recording right after shooting the last video. This time her expression was not so gentle. She did not hide the pain on her face. Her face was pale, her lips were pale, and cold sweat kept dripping from her hair. She looked very painful. Hello, Yunji. I'm Xiao. Long time no see. But I meet you again in this state. Xiao held her stomach and greeted the camera weakly. Shen and I encountered a strange creature up there. It didn't seem to have any ill will towards us, but since I met it, I've had some problems with my body. That creature is very powerful. If you meet it down there, don't provoke it. As long as you don't attack it, it probably won't hurt you. I know I don't have much time left. Yunji, I've always liked Shen. This will never change from the past to the present, and until I die. Thank you for your love for me, but unfortunately I don't have the same feelings for you. You are the only friend of Shen and I in this world. After I die, I hope you can help me take care of Shen, take him down from up there, and live with all of you. Although he doesn't have superpowers, he can help everyone do a lot of things. Please, this is my only wish before I die. For the sake of our former friendship, promise me, okay? As she said that, she struggled to stand up, bowed to the camera, and said, please. Then she staggered to the camera and turned off the camera. After watching this video, Chang Ning frowned and pondered. Before, Shen and Xiao were in the upper level of Yunsheng, and Yunji was in the lower level of Yunsheng. Their contact came to an abrupt end, and it seems that the reason has been found. It is a bloody love triangle plot. It seems that Yunji also likes Xiao and has confessed to her and should have revealed that he can find a way to get them. But Xiao doesn't like him. She only likes Shen. And Shen was jealous because of this matter, which led to the severance of relations between the two sides. Now Xiao is dying, and she thinks of Yunji again, and wants to entrust Shen to Yunji. Chang Ning thought to herself, what a little white lotus. She really has no interpersonal experience. But she has experienced the end of the world since she was a child, trapped in the upper level of Yunsheng, and has never interacted with others, so this kind of mentality is understandable. Xiao said that he and Shen encountered a strange creature. It should be the insane ghost in the video, right? From the previous video, they were frightened by the insane ghost and were on the run. This video also said that the insane ghost did not seem to have any malice towards them. So what happened that caused Xiao to get an incurable disease and die within a few days? Chapter 98. Let's go. Chang Ning thought for a long time and could only temporarily make a guess that Shen and Xiao were too weak. Especially Xiao. Her physical fitness was probably not very good. So that although the heartless ghost had no ill will towards them, some unintentional actions, or some abilities, that were inadvertently emitted, made Xiao terminally ill. Of course, there is another possibility that, because the heartless ghost looked scary, Xiao was injured during the escape of Shen and Xiao. After being injured, she was chased by the heartless ghost, and only after close contact did she find that it had no malice. However, no matter which one it was, Chang Ning understood that Xiao was really going to die. Listening to what she said to Shen in the video, it should mean to find a remote room that Shen could not find, quietly waiting for death, or simply committing suicide. She didn't want to die in front of her beloved man. However, what Chang Ning saw in their former residence were two skeletons side by side on the bed. So Chang Ning guessed that Xiao either did not have time to leave before Chen return home, or was finally found by Chen. Of course, it is not certain whether it is a person or a corpse. However, from Chang Ning's observation of their former residence, the dirty and messy environment inside was completely different from when Xiao recorded the video. So Chang Ning tended to the latter possibility, that is, Xiao really found a remote place and died alone. After seeing her video, Shen did not contact Yunji, but looked for her alone, and it is estimated that he searched for a long time. This can be seen from the number of various food packaging bags and garbage in the room. After finding Xiao, he should have taken Xiao's body back to their home, put it on their former bed, and then lay next to it, and ended his life. It's a pity that the last two humans in the upper layer of Yuncheng both left the world in their best years. Chang Ning sighed, but there was no special sadness. After all, those two were people from nearly 300 years ago, and he was not familiar with them. But it is a pity that both of them died too early, and there was no more information left in the camera for Chang Ning to refer to. The two people's activities are still in the lower floors of the upper structure of Yuncheng, and they know nothing about what is happening in the high-level buildings. Apart from the insane ghost, suspected to be Li Ling, the two people's videos did not provide Chang Ning with any valuable clues. With a long sigh, Chang Ning turned off the video and TV, and lay on the bed with his eyes closed to rest. There were no mobile phones in this era, and the game console was also hidden by Chang Ning. So at this late night, but it was not time to go to bed, there was always some embarrassment of having nothing to do. Next time I come across a book that can be read, I'd better find some to read. Even Zunlu's 3 years of college entrance examination and 5 years of simulation can be used as a hypnotic reading, right? However, there is also an advantage of not having any entertainment equipment, which is to give people time to be alone and think. Now Chang Ning feels that the depth of his thoughts and the breadth of his consideration of problems have been improved by a level compared to before. In a daze, Chang Ning fell asleep. In the next 2 days, Chang Ning and Yun Xianzu held meetings and consultations with some awakened people in Yuncheng to finalize the details of contact with surrounding towns. Everyone has allocated the cities they are going to contact, and unified the caliber and words. Yun Xianzu also finally carried out the decomposition of the Yunai-ao expressway to the bottom of Yuncheng. In fact, in a large area under the entire Yuncheng, the ground can decompose concrete, sand, asphalt and other things. This place should be a city center before the end of the world, and the infrastructure construction is still very complete. So building roads is not a difficult task near Yuncheng. 3 days later, the people of Yuncheng were divided into 3 teams, each heading in different directions, to communicate and cooperate with other towns. Chang Ning, Yun Xianzu and Yun Qian formed a team. Since Chang Ning and Yun Xianzu are both awakened people of the Stargate, their awakening abilities are not in the aspect of physical fitness enhancement. So this time, Yun Qian carried a bunch of luggage on her back when she went on a long journey. Chang Ning kindly provided her with an oversized outdoor backpack, the lower edge of which was almost dragged on the ground. You are abusing child labor. Yun Qian was still indignant while walking. Yo. Where did you hear the term child labor? Chang Ning also carried a small backpack, but it was not heavy, mainly containing some of his own outdoor supplies and weapons. Yun Qian was carrying a tent, sleeping bags and food for 3 people for 10 days, weighing dozens of kilograms. Zunlu told me, brother Xiaolu is the best, unlike you, who is too mean. Yun Qian pouted. Do you want me to help you carry it for a while? Yun Xianzu next to her also felt sorry for Yun Qian, a small person, carrying such a big backpack. Yun Qian tutted, come on, your small body is not as heavy as this backpack. Yun Xianzu puffed out his chest indignantly, how is it small? You naughty child. Besides, is it heavier than this backpack? With Yun Qian's strength, of course she didn't feel anything about this backpack. She was just complaining, not really wanting to give the backpack to Chang Ning or Yun Xianzu. Chang Ning also noticed it, so he began to praise Yun Qian casually. In fact, among the people in Yuncheng, I admire you the most, Qian. Yun Qian blinked. Really? Of course it's true. Think about it, in the whole Yuncheng, who can beat you? A little kid has such strength. My Kian has the potential to be an emperor. What is an emperor? It means a very powerful person. In short, it is very admirable. Young Kian became proud and stopped carrying the backpack. She jumped and even walked much faster. The three people's destination is Lincheng and Yangcheng, old friends of Yancheng, both located in the northwest of Yancheng. Before setting off, Chang Ning carefully asked the relic hunters passing by Yancheng about the route and the landmarks along the way, so they should not get lost. An hour later, they boarded the fishing team's boat and went upstream along the river. After sailing northwest for 3 hours, the boat stopped at the south bank of the river at a north-facing corner of the river. There is a huge silt field protruding from the river surface, which is one of the landmarks of this trip. Behind the silt field, Chang Ning found the river that was about 20 to 30 meters wide and then called the boat to go in. The river flows slowly and is relatively shallow, so the boat was very careful. But after walking for about 2 or 3 hours, the width of the river suddenly increased to more than 100 meters, and a shallow beach appeared in front. It was obvious that the boat could not continue to travel, so the three had to get off the boat and walk, and sent the fishing boat back by themselves. The sky gradually darkened, and the forest in front was full of ruins, which looked like a human town in the old world. I don't know if there are still people living here now, but the three decided to spend the night here first. Chang Ning walked towards the ruins first, and suddenly thought of the direction of the boat today, and the location to go tomorrow. Yangcheng, isn't it the Yangcheng lake before the end of the world? Chapter 99. Overnight in the tunnel. The reason why Yangcheng is called Yangcheng is probably because it is so high that it stands out in the surrounding areas of Shanghai city in the end of the world. And the reason why Yangcheng is called Yangcheng is because its name before the end of the world was Yangcheng Lake. Well, no problem. The sun is setting in the west. Although there is still about an hour to travel, there is no need to be so anxious in the world of the end of the world. Everything should be done with caution, and safety is the first priority. Who knows what there is in the wild at night in the end of the world? Lost heart ghosts? Evil beasts? They are all nocturnal creatures. And humans are not at an advantage at night. Due to limited vision, they are definitely at a disadvantage. Therefore, after seeing the ruins of an old world town in front of them, Chang Ning, Yun Xiansu and Yun Qian decided to find a safer place to spend the night here. Although there may be lost heart ghosts hidden in the ruins of the old world, generally speaking, it is still safe, at least safer than the wild. Chang Ning pushed aside the grass and led the way in front. Then he found a huge station stone under a tree. This kind of stone was often used as decoration in the old world, or placed at the entrance of some towns, and engraved with words. Like this one, there is a line engraved: "The people of Yashan Town welcome you." Yashan Town. Although it is not far from Shanghai, Chang Ning has never been here when he lived in the 21st century. But looking at the name, it may be related to Daewoo. He knew that there were many relics of Daewoo's flood control in the Jiangnan area, and it was said that the place where Daewoo met with the princes was also in Kuanaji Mountain. It may be a similar place. He continued to walk forward and came to an open space with many collapsed houses around. It looks like it should be the center of this town in the old world. Climbing up the tallest tree next to it, Chang Ning looked around and found no buildings still standing. The town has completely collapsed and should be integrated with nature again in a few hundred years. It looks like this is just a ruin. No one built a town after the apocalypse. Chang Ning said to the two people under the tree from the tree. Young Qian threw her backpack under the tree. Then I'll go around and check it out. As she said that, she jumped and ran away. Chang Ning continued to observe the surroundings from the tree. The town was not very large. Next to it was the river that Chang Ning and his team had just gone upstream. There was also a small mountain to the south. It was inevitable that he was a little nervous when he spent the night in the wild for the first time. He heard from the relic hunters in Yancheng that if he slept in the wild at night, it would be best to find a basement in a collapsed building. After sweeping to make sure that the basement was completely safe and there were no other entrances and exits, he would completely seal the entrance. He would open that entrance and go out after dawn the next day. In this way, there would be faint lights and conversations in the basement at night, which would generally not alarm nocturnal animals on the ground. There was no need to worry about someone snoring while sleeping. Chang Ning thought what they said made sense. However, the basements they found were generally those that were often passed by relic hunters and had been slightly maintained and explored. This town was obviously not of much value to relic hunters, and there had been no traces of humans for a long time. He doubted whether there were any basements that could be entered here. Even if there were, they should have become extremely dangerous. Should we pitch tents in the open air? Chang Ning didn't want to do this unless it was absolutely necessary. He took out a telescope from his backpack and continued to look around carefully. The golden light of the setting sun gave Chang Ning a good view from the tree. That is, his eyes suddenly lit up. There was a dark hole on the hill in the south, which looked like a tunnel before the end of the world. Although it was not a basement, the originally designed enclosed rooms could be found in the tunnel, and the function was the same. He jumped down from the tree excitedly and said to Yan Xianzu, "There is a tunnel on the mountain over there. Let's go there to spend the night." Yan Xianzu nodded. She didn't have any experience of spending the night in the wild, so of course she listened to Chang Ning. "Where's Qian Qian?" Chang Ning turned around and didn't see young Qian Qian. She just said she was going to explore the surroundings. Yan Xianzu estimated that Chang Ning didn't hear it in the tree, so he explained to him. Chang Ning looked up at the sky. It was a little late. If he didn't go to the tunnel to explore now, he probably wouldn't be able to settle down after dark. So according to the mark they had agreed on before they set out, they left a message for young Qian Qian on the big tree just now, telling her to go to the cave in the south to find him. Then they carried the heavy backpack weighing dozens of kilograms and headed towards the tunnel with Yan Xianzu. Although young Qian Qian still looked calm, after carrying the backpack for a day, Chang Ning could only feel the weight of the bag after he carried it on his back. Fortunately, his physical fitness had been greatly improved in the doomsday. As long as he didn't trek with the bag all day, he would still have no problem walking a short distance. After walking for about half an hour, the two came to the entrance of the tunnel. Standing at the entrance and looking inside, the entire tunnel was dark and nothing could be seen clearly. However, the nameplate on the tunnel had already told Chang Ning what kind of building this was. Yashan Town Civil Air Defense Emergency Shelter. It was a civil air defense cave. Chang Ning knew that the civil air defense caves before the doomsday were built quite solidly. Although 300 years had passed, the danger of collapse was not great. Even the general air raid shelters are built very deep. For example, the ones built against the mountain can almost reach the belly of the mountain. The routes inside are even more complicated and changeable. Only the special civil servants before the doomsday can fully understand them. So, after 300 years after the doomsday, will there be some strange residents living in it? However, there is indeed no more suitable place to spend the night than this air raid shelter. Chang Ning had no choice but to bite the bullet and said to Yan Xianzu, "Let's go in and explore. Find a small room close to the entrance and camp inside for the night." Yan Xianzu nodded and grabbed the corner of Chang Ning's clothes. "It's so dark inside." Chang Ning patted her hand, signaling her not to be afraid. Then he put down his backpack and threw it at the entrance of the tunnel, took out his Desert Eagle and Skywalker #1 laser sword, put the strong light flashlight on his forehead, and then walked slowly inside. Under the illumination of the strong light flashlight, all the darkness in the tunnel was swept away. Although Yan Xianzu behind Chang Ning was still obviously a little nervous, he was much better than the trembling just now. The style of this man-made cave is obviously left over from the era before Chang Ning lived. Later, it is estimated that after 300 years of continuous renovation, it can still be used normally before the end of the world. Of course, its main function at that time should not be to prevent war. In fact, Chang Ning has also seen some man-made caves in the 21st century, which are used as a place to cool off in the summer. There are some ancient slogans on the walls on both sides of the cave. It should be a historical attraction before the end of the world. After walking more than 20 meters, the terrain gradually goes down, and it should be built towards the belly of the mountain. There is a three-way intersection in front. On the road on the far left of the intersection, there is obviously a small door not far away. Chang Ning breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that there is no need to go very deep to have a room to spend the night. He slowed down his pace and walked over quietly. The door was an iron door and was not locked. Chang Ning gently pushed the door open and suddenly a shadow pounced over. Chapter 100, Killing the Desperate Ghost. Chang Ning gently pushed the door open a crack, and before the overhead light could turn to the direction of the door, he heard a gust of wind from the door. Then a foul smell came, and a black shadow pounced on him at an extremely fast speed. Bang! Chang Ning subconsciously closed the door, and the black shadow inside suddenly pounced on the iron door, making a muffled sound. Ah! Yan Xianzu behind him screamed. Chang Ning hurriedly stepped back 2 steps, protecting Yan Xianzu behind him, while loading the Desert Eagle in his right hand and opening the safety of the Skywalker #1 lightsaber in his left hand. Bang! There was another loud noise, and it was the iron door that was opened from the inside. A humanoid creature about 1.5 meters tall and hunched over jumped out from inside. It was extremely fast, and almost the moment it went out of the door, it jumped to a place outside the beam of light above Chang Ning's head. Chang Ning quickly turned his head and scanned in its direction, but found nothing. Where did it go? Exclamation mark. It's a crazy ghost. Yan Xianzu's voice trembled. She knew that neither she nor Chang Ning were combat type awakeners, and this crazy ghost had obviously awakened to agile combat capabilities. In such a duel, the two of them were estimated to be in danger. If I had known earlier, I would have found Kai and Qian first. Yan Xianzu couldn't help but regret it. Chang Ning continued to retreat, pushing Yan Xianzu against the wall behind him, and then opened his arms to protect her. The two stood against the wall, and he continued to turn his head, trying to catch the whereabouts of the crazy ghost. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew on the left. Chang Ning subconsciously raised his hand and fired a shot in that direction. Sparks flew, and there was only the crisp sound of bullets hitting the wall, and there was no sound of bullets entering the flesh. It seemed that it missed. When Chang Ning's attention was on the left, an arm covered with black hard short hair quietly stretched out from the darkness on his right and attacked him, and Yan Xianzu silently but quickly. There! Yan Xianzu's voice sounded behind Chang Ning, and Chang Ning turned his head suddenly and saw the black claw. The black claws were less than a meter away from them, and the stench was overwhelming. Chang Ning couldn't help holding his breath. Puff! With a muffled sound, Chang Ning used his right arm to block the mad ghost's grab at Yan Xianzu in a flash. Clang! The Desert Eagle landed. The mad ghost's attack was blocked, and it quickly stretched out its black claws and attacked again like lightning. Chang Ning blocked its first attack, and his right arm hurt to the bone, but it also bought a breath of time. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the head of the Skywalker #1 laser sword in his left hand turned the direction, and then instantly stretched it to its longest length, a 1.5 meter long slender laser across Chang Ning and Yan Xianzu. The mad ghost's second attack came again. It saw that Chang Ning's laser sword blocked its attack route, and directly raised its claws to hit the light column, trying to block the laser sword and attack the two people. With its speed, even with a blocking action, the two humans in front of it would definitely not be able to dodge. However, the Lost Heart Ghost did not feel the expected resistance, and it seemed to swing its claws at the phantom in the air. Before it could understand what was going on, the laser beam swung at it again. It instinctively wanted to block it with its arms, but where it looked, its arms were slowly flying out. This was beyond its understanding, and it was stunned for a moment. Then it saw its body again, spinning farther and farther away from it. What exactly happened? The Lost Heart Ghost could not figure it out, so it closed its eyes and died completely. Who? Chang Ning had been holding his breath just now, and he exhaled at this time. In fact, the whole process from when he opened the door to when he killed the Lost Heart Ghost with his hands was very short, less than 3 seconds. But during these 3 seconds, Chang Ning was very focused, and time seemed to slow down. He felt that several minutes had passed, until he chopped off the Lost Heart Ghost's head with a sword, and saw it dead on the ground. His tense nerves suddenly relaxed, and he felt that he had no strength at all. He leaned back, and wanted to rest against the wall. The touch on his back was soft. Chang Ning realized that Yan Xianzu was still behind him. He quickly gathered up the remaining strength, and stood up to move. I'm sorry. Chang Ning panted and looked at Yan Xianzu. The light above his head shone on Yan Xianzu's face. Yan Xianzu felt that the whole world had become a bright light and almost went blind. She turned her face away and lowered her head. Chang Ning also hurriedly turned her face to another direction to prevent the flashlight from shining directly on Yan Xianzu's face. Anything else? Yan Xianzu asked Chang Ning in a low voice. Chang Ning shook his head slightly. I heard that insane ghosts usually travel alone. As he said that, he reached into his small backpack, took out a cold flame, broke it open, and threw it out. The full picture of the tunnel gradually emerged in the red light of the cold flame. In addition to the insane ghost with its head and body separated on the ground, there were indeed no other creatures. Chang Ning took 2 more steps to the door and gently pushed it open. Behind the door was a place similar to the 21st century security room, with several worn-out computers and monitors, about 20 square meters. The room was full of a foul smell, and there were puddles of dark brown unknown liquid on the ground, which looked very disgusting. He looked around carefully, then stepped back and closed the door. It should be gone. But this room can't be lived in. It's too smelly. Yan Xianzu patted his chest in fear. Thank you. She remembered that the first attack of the Lost Heart ghost was aimed at her, but was blocked by Chang Ning's arm. Chang Ning shook his head. Why are you polite? Let's go to the other 2 tunnels. The 2 returned to the fork in the road and chose a tunnel on the right. After entering, they found a room 20 or 30 meters later, but it was a small office in the old world, which seemed to be used by the duty personnel of the anti-trap cave. This office was relatively clean. The 2 people flashed into the door. Chang Ning locked the door casually, and then lit a kerosene lamp. The warm light gradually filled the whole room, and the mood of the 2 people relaxed instantly. Is your hand okay? Yan Xianzu looked at Chang Ning with an anxious look. Only then did Chang Ning truly feel the severe pain in his arm. He couldn't help but grimace and took a breath, then took off his backpack and coat and put them on the ground. He had been wearing Yan Sheng's black and gold clothes for his inner lining. He raised his arm and took a look. The insane ghost did not break the defense of the black and gold clothes. The clothes were intact and there was no tear, but a big hole was scratched on the sleeve of Chang Ning's coat. He pulled the sleeve of the black and gold clothes up again. The clothes rubbed against his arm and it hurt again. He injured it and pulled up the sleeve with a twitching face, revealing a large area of black and purple. He tried to move his arm. Fortunately, the bone should not be broken, but he didn't know if there was a fracture. Injuries without wounds are actually considered minor injuries in the end times. Chang Ning was somewhat glad that he was wearing black and gold clothes. Yan Xianzu beside him started to cry. What should I do? Why is there such a large area of purple? As he said that, he put Chang Ning's arm in his arms and examined it carefully. It's the 100th chapter. This is the first time that a new author has reached 3-digit chapters. Although the performance of this book is very poor, there are still a few readers who stick with it. Thank you very much. Leo Xiao, keep working hard. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.